You got me in the intro. Turns
I
out T
got
has
you.
subscribed. I don't have the. I have the sound on the intro screen, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have the image. So I could just hear
I
Moist
see.
Critical go, "Woo! There it is, baby!" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. I got the ToansiDeck Twitch sub. 14
I
months you've
didn't.
been supporting the stream,
Yeah,
ToansiDeck. Thank you
it's
for
not
your support.
consecutive though because apparently I missed one because of some BS. But whatever.
Okay. Well,
I don't
appreciate
know if
it.
that's how you should count consecutive, but whatever.
My longest
Twitch to
subscriber,
Twitch.
ToansiDeck. There it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, so this week we've got coming up some of the news I'm interested in. AAA games, tons of indie games, especially indie games that I F with. 64-bit 64-bit TF2. It's been a long time coming. It's finally out. We can finally see the difference in performance. And there's a Persona mobile game that's now available, only in Japanese. I was like, I did not know this existed. So yeah. But what are you interested in talking about this week, Tony?
More Star Trek death in gaming.
Yeah.
RIP. Star Trek Infinite. And I was gonna, I know you put it under quick news, but I just wanted to say, yeah, Fallout 4 probably is gonna have some broken mods.
Yeah.
Or not. Probably
We
though.
will talk about the Fallout 4 patch coming and probably the TV
Yeah.
show for a little bit, and also
Yep.
about Fallout London and their plans
Yeah.
because they have been massively affected by this. I was just mentioning to you off the cuff. I was like, "Oh yeah, I was watching the trailer for the new Deadpool and Wolverine, which I don't know if you've seen, but
I seen it exists. I didn't see it. I didn't want to.
we were for the podcast side. We were just talking about how like different companies own different things. I was saying, oh, there's a rumor Sony wants to buy Paramount because we were talking about Star Trek, and I was like, oh, that would mean Sony would own Star Trek. But
yes,
I was talking about this with one of my friends, and he was like, oh, yeah, this is a really big deal because those original X-Men films, Disney doesn't own those. And I was like, they do now. They do now, and they have for a while. And he said, well, when did this happen? And I said, a while ago now. And he was like, no. It must have just happened because I remember in Deadpool 2, they could only get a couple of guys from the X-Men, but they couldn't get any of the good ones. He was like, I was like, so I looked it up and I was like, Disney bought Fox in 2019, I think it was. And it was like, oh shit. Like that was like, what, 5 years ago now?
5 years ago now.
And the second Deadpool film came out in like 2017, 2018.
Yeah, my understanding is even if they couldn't, like, you can still negotiate even if they couldn't just do it automatically, and I think that's what happened, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
because in the first Deadpool there's like no like main characters, right? Then the second one there's just like cameos.
the point of this story was so many fucking companies are acquiring other companies, and also the second point was
so
like
few companies.
It feels like 2019 was yesterday, and then there's just like this big gap in time because of COVID. Like everything's fucked. But anyway, you had some big news you wanted to talk about this week, Tone, because you actually got a Steam Deck.
I need to create a timestamp for this because I'll forget. I got a Steam Deck OLED
that is invisible.
1 terabyte version. The top of the one of the, hang on, it's yeah, there we go.
The green screen's trying to destroy it because it's not a face.
If
I cover my face with it, it's fine.
I don't understand that, but yeah, that seems to be working. As soon as it goes over your top, it's like, no, that doesn't exist. But yeah, I got actually I'm gonna get the clock phone, remember.
Get the Steam Deck OLED.
So yeah, I got pranked initially. Where it's like parcel force meant to deliver it on Monday. This was last Monday. It was over a week ago now, and it's like, no, we didn't have the pin codes delivered on Tuesday instead, which I do get. They put the label on the bottom of the parcel for some reason. It doesn't make any sense. I really do like the I assume it's the same as your one, right? The package of it. It's like they've got like Valvified like packaging icons.
Yeah, they had like a Valvified package thing for mine, but I think it might be slightly different since they've done the OLED
Yeah, I think
one.
it's. I like the inside is like all the things of like, oh, in different languages where you can do it, and all of them just in a test chamber. I quite like that. I like the packaging; it's nice. I
Mm.
appreciate that. But yeah, I've now used it. I went to a long weekend trip to like catch up with like university friends.
Yeah.
So I've actually extensively used it, and I will say first of all, I'm very happy with the battery life. It's incredibly good.
Oh, Tony, I'm about to do one of my first tests, actually. Sorry to cut you off, but in a
Yeah.
week, I'm going on a plane and I'm taking this. I think it's like a
Oh,
4-hour flight to Greece. So I'm going to be doing my
it's
first.
4 hours, isn't
I'm
it?
my intention is to super low TDP,
Yep.
super low, like pin the GPU clock down and just play Balatro for as long as possible.
Okay.
And I'm going to see how
You
long
just
this
try
thing
to
lasts.
eke out the battery life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'd recommend if you have a
Yeah.
game with like a lot of performance overhead, just keep
Yep.
turning down the TDP, keep turning down those GPU clocks, and just figure out
Well,
like how much battery life you can get. But you've got a much bigger battery than the standard one. It's like a
yeah, it's
53
25%
watt.
bigger, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I've got a question for you though. So I've been playing Soul Calibur 6. I was
yeah,
expecting to play Castlevania games like Bloodstained, but I've not got around to that yet. So I'm just
yeah.
playing. I've got 20 extra hours in Soul Calibur 6 at this point, only on the Steam Deck. I've only had it for a week at this point,
Yeah, so for,
which is
my
kind of
experience
insane.
was there was a list of games I thought I was going to play, and then when I got the Steam Deck, there was
Yeah,
a list of games that I actually played, and they
yeah.
were quite different to one another.
I don't know how different that's going to be yet. I feel like I just need to like switch. I don't know. I've not played a fighting game for a very long time. It feels good to finally like get back to trying to. I mean, Soul Calibur 4 on the PS3 was like the first fighting game I properly played, and it just feels nice. But I was going to ask though,
Yeah.
how much battery life do you think I got with Soul Calibur 6?
How old is the game? Because I'm not familiar with Soul Calibur.
Um, I actually don't know. It's not like brand new or anything. But it's not old either. I
2015 maybe? I can
changed.
look up the store page.
Yeah. I changed I did change the settings slightly, but I didn't make it into potato mode. That's the only clue I'm going to give you.
Soul Calibur 6, you said.
Yes. I don't believe any other ones are available on PC,
Oh, it
but I
came out
could be mistaken.
2018, so it's right
Yeah.
up in that 6-year-old gap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So,
you said
medium age.
I think we talked about you playing the game, and you said it was playable, not verified. I'm assuming. So did
Yes.
you? So I have to ask you a question. Um,
Yep.
you're running at native res like 800p, I'm assuming.
I've not. Yeah, I've not changed any of
And
the
are you
settings like
running
that.
at 60 FPS or 90?
I've not changed it, so it's at 90.
Okay, so it's at 90. Um,
But the game, I will tell you, the game was locked at
two
60.
and a half to 3 hours is how long I would say
I
from
was
my
getting a
experience,
solid. I
but
was getting a solid 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
I
Okay.
just, yeah, it was insane. I was not expecting to last that long. I'm not even like, I'm on high settings at native resolution and native scaling, and like with like post processing put down to medium. I was like, wow, this is really quite good. Yeah, I know it's an older game at this point, but I don't know. I was expecting a lot less. I was expecting like 2 hours at most.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I've been very happy with the just like the screen, like the anti-glare screen. Very happy with that.
And you haven't tweaked it at
And
all. Like you might have like
no, I've
some
not.
over. You could
I've
go to
not gone
like
that far yet.
Proton DB and type.
No,
If
I've
you type
not
in
got
your
that far.
game, it'll tell you its rating. Geralt from The Witcher is in this game. Apparently, I'm seeing from the image.
Yes, Karo is in the game. He's
But
overpowered as hell.
specifically on the Proton DB, they have specifically a Steam Deck page, not just a Linux page for
Oh, okay,
games, and they'll
nice.
basically say, "Hey, here's some tips and tricks to get it
So,
running even better." Like people will
yeah,
have
yeah.
like custom um, things to get it to run for longer. So like if I
Okay, like
type in like
optimizing it.
Balatro is a native game, but if I type in like Balatro and then go to Steam Deck, people will say like, turned half rate shading on, TDP limit 4 watts, manual GPU clock, and people will just give you tips on how to like super tune it to be like it's still playable, but it'll massively extend the battery life.
Right, right.
So that's
Makes
quite
sense.
useful.
I think optimizing for battery life they should be what people. I think that's
Yeah,
what these handhelds are really for. I think trying to optimize for fidelity is kind of a
yeah,
fool's errand, in my opinion. I understand why people do it, but I think battery life first for
yeah. I
100%.
mean, you can get like the Asus ROG Ally to play like the most cutting edge
Yeah,
AAA games for like an hour, or
but
plugged
it's
into a wall. But
yeah, didn't see the point of
it's
that.
not really what I want a Steam Deck for. Like a lot of the
No,
games I want to play on it
no.
are quite lightweight anyway.
But I was just relying on the inbuilt Steam store, like how playable it was and like the details of it. It says for Soul Calibur 6 that it's just like you need to like use the keyboard. I'm just like, I don't know why that makes it playable and not verified, but sure, it works perfectly fine. Had no problems. I had one crash actually, but I just relaunched it. I didn't have the problem again, so I have
So
no idea what was
did you
causing the
play as the
crash.
Butcher of Blaviken at all, or
Uh, I played okay, so I made my own characters. Like, see, the way the Soul Calibur works is you can create your own characters using
right?
the skill sets of like the pre-made characters. So I think I made a really tall, buff person to play as Geralt, and
Yeah,
then I also then made. I think I made like a 2B character. 2B's also in the game from
a
Near
near
Automata.
tomato. Yeah,
Yeah, of course those are. I think those are DLCs you have to buy, but
because I
yeah.
remember. I think I had. I never bought Soul Calibur 5, but I think a friend gave it to me on the Xbox because he didn't want it or wasn't interested in it. And
Yeah, people didn't like 5 as much for some reason.
I'm trying to remember what the because I remember there was specifically a character on the Xbox version and there's specifically a character on
Yes.
the PlayStation
Uh,
version. They had like different characters as guest
yeah,
characters.
so for 4 it was Yoda and Darth Vader, for 5 is Ezio and someone else. Who the hell was the other one?
Ezio
I think I had Ezio for
Auditore.
both of them. Did you have Ezio?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
barely played it
Yeah,
myself.
so yeah, there's definitely Ezio and maybe someone else,
I
but
play.
I
I
can't
played
remember
more
now.
Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm on the Xbox 360 than I did Soul Calibur. So,
Right. That's
and I
fair,
barely
that's
played
fair.
that. So,
I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's like the first like proper fighting game I played, but like yeah, I just really enjoy the mechanics of Soul Calibur. Um, was it there's another like game I played recently? Is that I'm not feeling the another fighting game specifically I played recently. That I'm not feeling the mechanics or the feel of it. But yeah,
what you don't
anyway,
remember what
but
that game was, or
I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Dead or Alive 5 or something.
uh, true. You see,
You
you're
know
playing
the big
you're just playing all the anime fighter
yeah.
games.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. The one,
What's the
the
beach
Bikini
party
Babe
one?
one. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Isn't
It's
there
that
one that
one.
they're just on a beach party? It's just like they're just playing beach ball and stuff. Which one's that game?
Uh, well, they were like 5 and 6 both have like them like volleyball sections? Question mark.
I'm typing Dead
Yeah,
or
it's very
Alive
much
and
on
it's
the
coming
beach.
up with the band.
Just put a number after it.
Oh, that's how you get it right.
Apparently, I own 6. When I was like searching through my Steam Deck library, and I was like, oh wait, I own 6. And I think apparently
Yeah, so
Sarah's
me and
right.
you have that
So
issue where we own over 1,000 games on Steam. So I'm
yes,
almost always accidentally buying the same game twice or trying to buy it
yes,
twice.
yeah.
And then I go through my Steam and I'm like, wait, I own this game. I didn't know I owned
Yeah,
this game. And then,
it's very surprising. I'm like, oh, I own this game?
hmm.
Or hilarious one, someone else tells me that I own a game. I'm like, no, I don't. There's no way. And like, yes, you do.
I had that experience
What?
a couple of days ago. Um, but I think it was like my friend, because he likes to play a lot of the point and click political games, and he was like, "Oh, you own Diplomacy 3," and I was like, "No, I don't."
Oh.
And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh wait, yes, I do."
Yeah, the first yeah, it's a very weird game. It's like a budget
And that's what it was called.
movement and then like
Such I probably own it and then have ignored it on the store page. Is it
I believe
Democracy
it was
3?
in Yeah, I believe it was in a
No.
bundle at one point, like a Yogscast bundle, or maybe even like another like Humble bundle.
Mm.
I think a lot of people own that now because of those bundles.
Yeah, it's
I
like
think I
I get the Jingle Jam sometimes, the Humble bundles, the
yeah.
Fanatical bundle. I just like to buy bundles. You know what I bought today? I bought Borderless Gaming on Steam, not because I was
Oh,
like, I want to use Borderless Gaming in this device, and I've been using fucking Borderless Gaming for years. Like it's one of the most useful free pieces of software on the internet. And
yeah.
then I was like,
Yeah.
wait, it's on Steam. Why don't I just give the developer some money and just get it on Steam instead of
Yeah.
getting it off GitHub, which is fine. And
And
there's also like an
updates it
optional,
for you.
yeah, there was also an optional DLC that you could get, which had a dark mode as well. So I got that as well. Um,
Yeah, oddly, like, there's a good piece of software called Krita, and it's like you can get it free, like, on their website, but it's like a paid version on Steam. I'm like, yeah, come on then. It's not that expensive. People are complaining about this. Like, people complain heavy when it's like a free version, a paid version. It's like, why the hell do you get the paid version? It's like to support
support
them.
the developer.
What? Where do you think this time and money comes from?
Yeah. I don't know. People get really hostile about that sort of stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
this is free. This
very
should always be
hostile.
free. You shouldn't be making money off this. And it's like, well, this developer made his own personal software that he's been distributing
But
to people out of his own time.
it seems very weird to me because they're literally saying that, "Oh, you can just get the free one." It's like, why don't you just do that then? I don't know
Yeah.
where your aggression's coming from.
I don't know.
But yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I've had a lot of fun with the Steam Deck. I've discovered that 3 hours is my limit on like before I get like
Oh.
I'll put it only in my right hand. I have like a cramp on my playing too much Soul Calibur.
Okay. Well, that's a
So
very like button
I
mashy game. So
Yeah, I think that was what it was really. I was like, I think I was getting really annoyed at something, and I was like trying to like redo like a boss or sort of thing like over and over again. And it's like, okay, I need to put it down and give it a break.
one thing
And
I
my hand
actually did want to
hurts.
ask you about was what
Yeah.
did you think about the inner case of the Steam Deck OLED? Because I don't have one of those. Um,
Uh, I don't think I have one either. I've not
you
actually looked.
should.
I've just put it in the case.
Inside your
Uh,
case, you can pull it out. Then there's a smaller case that you can take apart now. There's a lighter carrying case.
right. I'm not seeing how that works, but okay.
I think it's just attached with like a piece of Velcro or something. I will say that the
Oh, it
bigger,
is. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I've not.
But I just have the big case. I don't have like the lighter
Yeah.
inner case that this
I
version comes with.
I was just using the big case because it seemed very it has like a little handle, so it
Like
seems
as
very convenient.
um, I think it. If I had the smaller case, I would start to use it because it when I want to, like if I'm transporting on a plane or something, I'm like, okay, I'll put it in
Yeah.
the big case. But sometimes I'm like, I just want to pull this out for 10 minutes when I'm down the dentist or the doctor's office, and lugging out the big case out of my backpack and then taking out that thing can be a bit cumbersome.
Yeah. I assume
Um,
if you're storing it in a backpack, you want the full case, right? I was just carrying it separately, so
but yeah, another thing I wanted to ask you about is you have a lot. You have fiber to the premises now, so you have a lot faster internet.
yes.
How you been
Very
finding the
oh yeah, I was
Wi-Fi
gonna split
6E
this.
chip?
Yeah, that was fantastic. That
Mm.
was working brilliantly. Like I just like I think this morning I downloaded like I filmed like a few gigabytes of game actually. It was like I got up, like download like queued it up to download. I think I plugged it into charge, went had breakfast, and then just before leaving, I was like, "Oh, it's done," and then I had to put it away when I went to work. So yeah, it's really nice. I think as well as like also doing like the trying to when my computer was on it, it's like trying to transfer files. It seemed to be just as quick to download it as it was to transfer files. I think makes sense. So I
Yeah.
think it's just limited by whatever the Wi-Fi can do at this point.
What router
Yeah,
do you
I'm
have?
very happy with that. What? Sorry.
What Wi-Fi is the router you have?
I think it's 6E. I think. No,
6E.
it's definitely 6.
Oh, so you got it
Yeah.
recently then?
Yeah, yeah. We got like this was like last year we got like free credit and it was like, well, we might as well use it to buy a set
Free
what
social
decent
credit for
mesh.
routers? What the fuck?
Well, they kind of screwed up. The people who would previously kind of screwed up, and so well,
Oh, okay,
you're not
fine.
actually providing the service, and then yeah, and finally, but when fiber came in the start of this year, we then switched to them,
All I'm saying,
and
Tony, is
yeah.
I've seen that there's a Wi-Fi 6E router that's shaped like a minion. That's all I'm saying right now.
Oh, they yeah. There's probably some problems with that, but I like the idea of
Wait,
yeah,
what? There's
minion shape.
problems with the Wi-Fi 6E minion?
There's a short circuit video on it. I would recommend watching it.
No,
It's
that's my dream.
yeah, I think the idea is sound. I think the idea of having like routers hidden in mascot. What do you call? I don't know what you call that. Just it looks
Yeah,
great.
personal
I'm not
hero.
gonna lie.
Mm.
I'm not
And
even
I
a
think
Minions
there's
fan. Like I
they
don't
have the
really like
short. I
Minions.
think there's a short minion that's just Wi-Fi
Yeah,
6, or it might be Wi-Fi
yeah.
5, but that's hilarious.
The Wi-Fi 60, I think, has like a quote. That was the big one. I don't remember what the Minions are called, but the big one has
All
like
I'm
a
saying
quote
is
from the
that
chip in, I
the
believe.
first company to release a minion-shaped Wi-Fi 7 router. I mean, time to invest.
Yeah, yeah. As long as the
As
antenna
long
is
as they
set up
fix
correctly,
the
which
fundamental issues that you've been telling me about.
yeah, the antenna like pickup range is like incorrect for some reason on it. So okay,
Mm.
and like if you get too far away, and oh, the 2.4 gigahertz didn't work at all on them. It's like really bad.
Oh, okay.
So they need to fix some stuff. It might be firmware go to fix it, but I don't know. But yeah, no, on the Steam Deck, it's like yeah, it's just like transferring super quick. I was very happy. I got a
That's
lot.
good.
I've only been using the 1 terabyte internal. I've not got a SD card yet. But that's on my to buy list. As long I need to buy a skin as well. That's on my to do list.
Yeah, I'm just raw dogging it. I don't have a skin. I'm not
Yeah,
interested in that
I
sort of
just wanted to
stuff.
go to differentiate it. I'm fine with raw dogging it at the moment, but at some point I want a skin. But I don't know what I want yet. So
Well, have you
yeah,
been
I'm
looking
just
at
experimenting.
the D brand stuff? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, yeah, I do appreciate the D brand. I don't know. Yeah, have you ever seen or like interfaced with like D brand skins? They're just like a lot nicer quality than other skins I've bought.
I've never used one, no, but I've seen what they look
Okay.
like.
Yeah, they're just like the feel of them is like just much nicer than like other. Or maybe other companies have caught up. Well,
Although
now
I think
I don't know.
my brother's Steam Deck, when I saw that, he had a D brand skin on it.
No, okay.
Um, so I must have seen one in person. He said because he said he had played it twice because they gave him one and then he fucked it
Yeah,
up, and they give you a second one so
yeah.
you can not
The
fuck it up.
QS, yeah. They even on my when I had it with my phone, they had like a video saying like, "Oh, and we've given you two in case you fuck it up." I'm like, yeah, yeah, I needed that. Yeah, my plan for to, I guess end the Steam Deck section. My plan is to get Deck
You
to
want to
work
end
as
it?
my actual tinkering thing.
There's so
Well,
much
there's only
Steam
so
Deck
much you
news
could
to
talk
talk
about.
about. I'm just
Well,
watching
is there any other
these.
questions that you want?
I was just watching these reels, and
Yeah,
on the page of the Steam Deck, I'm like, I think there's two of these games that I have personally played on my Steam Deck. So I would genuinely like my recommendation would be to look at the top played Steam Deck games on
yeah,
Steam and consider if there's any of those that you own you're interested in trying those because I've found that they're on there for a reason, and generally they are probably some
yeah.
of the best games to play on the Steam Deck. Um,
A game that I'm actually looking at playing next is Bayonetta. I've not actually got around to
Bayonetta.
playing that.
What's that on?
It's Steam Deck
Is it?
verified.
It's verified, right?
Yeah,
The Platinum Games
yes,
game
makes
there.
sense.
I mean, general tip is anything that works well on a controller will work well on a
Yeah.
Steam Deck. So,
Yeah,
um,
as long as the port is good, yeah, that is normally true. Yeah,
yeah. 'Cause I found myself getting very annoyed at games that like. I think the one I got getting annoyed was Neon White because I played it on a mouse and keyboard, and I played it very. I was trying to speedrun levels with a controller, and I was like getting
yeah.
annoyed at how clunky it felt as somebody who was like top 100
All
in
your
the
movement.
world at some point of one of the levels, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this doesn't feel as responsive
but
as it was when I was playing on my computer."
it's a first-person game, right? So like, you
Hmm.
have to
A first-person shooter
adjust a lot.
platformer.
Yeah, yes, you have to adjust a lot slower and clunkier movement thing. I feel like fighting games are perfect. It's like you need like the analog movement is really useful, and then you're not aiming a camera.
Oh, the games that I had played were Ratchet and Clank and SpongeBob.
Oh yeah,
Are two of the games that are on this reel. So
I'm very tempted to get like buy Ratchet
get
and Clank for
Ratchet.
next sale.
It's really good on Steam Deck.
Yeah.
It's really good, and it's a really good game just in general.
Yeah, I've been thinking of just the game itself, not longer. I want to play this.
But yeah, what I was doing was I played most of the game on my computer, but then there was a point where I was farming the arena. You know, like every Ratchet and Clank game, you have like a arena tournament to get money and stuff. I was like, oh, I'll just do that on my Steam Deck when I'm out of the house.
Like, you never have to do like all of like the arena stuff, but they always have like lots of levels or lots of arena levels you can do.
Yeah, I just think I needed more money for unlocking all the weapons.
I think it's really cool that it is like a way to get more money to get weapons. Yeah, it's really nice. I think Ratchet and 3 I really appreciate some of the
Is it money or raritanium?
I can't remember what they call them, but like yeah. But I think it's like a parkoury thing or like a trail that you could like do in Ratchet and 3 they added. It's like I liked those. They're quite cool. I think those are my favorite gladiatorial stuff.
So it's doing this. How long have you had the Steam Deck now for? Then like 2 weeks, a week?
No, it's just a week.
Just a week.
Last
Jesus.
week.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, and I was really tired on last Tuesday. So I didn't really play it until Wednesday. So
we did record in the day that you got it, didn't we? I remember that.
It's the day after. We did recording, but it was the day I first played it. So I did not play it on the Tuesday.
Because you were mentioning we did some recording, and the second recording we did fucked up. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to edit this. And I was like,
yes.
Oh, if I'm going to have to edit this, why don't I just try DaVinci Resolve? Because I was like, I've got a copy to like Vegas 15. If you don't know this point, Sony Vegas was like a old school, very popular video editing software. It's no longer owned by Sony. It's just Vegas now. And the problem with it, because I owned a copy of it, it's like just a single time purchase. So you don't have to go through any of like the awful like Adobe subscription shit with like the Creative Cloud and shit. Yeah. It's just the 2015 version.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I think that's how you should do software, but yeah.
But the problem with it is it's so old at this point, you don't have stuff like GPU decompression or like GPU acceleration, rather.
It's crazy how new GPU acceleration is for video editing, or at least for like domestic video editing.
I remember that Premiere had it for a long time, which is why it made it so frustrating that they had like the big subscription model rather than you can just buy a copy of the software.
I appreciate considering how complicated it was to implement, especially like when it's a new thing. Like, fair enough.
But then I was like, I've heard DaVinci Resolve is really good free software, but I was always intimidated by it because I was like, it's very much designed for like professional film editing and like color correction and stuff like that. DaVinci Resolve is actually, at least for me, was very easy to use and was also incredibly fast and performant. Like it had, from what I could tell, very good CPU utilization and even GPU acceleration. It also ingested my AV1 footage and was like completely fine with it. I didn't have to do any converting like I would have with the other video editing software. So I was like,
when you saying it was like using 90% of both your CPU and GPU.
Yeah. Right? And it was using all my CPU, GPU, and RAM. Like it was fully utilizing my PC, and it took like 15, 30 minutes to do a 40-minute 4K video.
Yeah, I think it's estimated 15 initially, and then it went up to 25 if I remember correctly. But I can't actually remember the details anymore.
Yeah, the reason I mention this, other than it being an interesting story, is I was like, I just got to sit here and wait for this now. And you were like, well, you've got another computer, you've got your Steam Deck, why don't you just it's fully utilizing your PC, why don't you just play on your Steam Deck? I was like, yeah, I could. So I just sat and I played Balatro for like 30 minutes and I was like, this is great.
Yeah, handhelds have so many uses. Oh, I forgot my I gave my Steam Deck a name. I guess I should end with that. I was trying to figure out what to call it, and I was there with going with the tours like, what the hell do I call this? I decided
Get your deck out. ToansiDeck. That's a
It's
good
so
one.
good. I'm so happy.
That's a
It
good
comes
one.
up on the thing. It's like, oh, ToansiDeck is ready to stream. I'm like, that's such a good name. I'm so happy
I
I
think mine
discovered
is
that one.
just called Steam Deck. I don't think I've with the numbers. I don't think I've
Well,
given it a unique name, which I know
I
you can
tried
do.
to. I was gonna call it something with like two words, and it was like, no, you can't have a space. I'm like, what? So I had to then go, okay, fine. What am I gonna call it? Imagine not having a space in your name. That just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, my host name is just Steam Deck. I have the default one. It's just Steam Deck.
Yeah. I didn't want to get confused when I went to a garden party though, so I was like, oh, I better
Wait, have you
give it
docked it
give it
yet,
a name.
or is that for the future?
No, no, I've not done it. I've not done anything other than plug it into charge.
I do have another Steam Deck story. Um,
Okay.
my sister messaged me like last week, and she said, "I've got a new game on the Switch." And because we have like a Nintendo online family thing, because she got it on the eShop,
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, you can play it on the Switch downstairs as well." And I was like, "Okay, what's the game?" She said, "Oh, it's this great new game. It's one where you go around power washing houses. It's called Power Wash Simulator." And I was like, "Oh, I actually already own that game." Um, and she was like, "Oh,
So,
okay. Do you want to play it together?" And I was like, "I don't think you can crossplay between the Switch and the PC version." And I looked it up, and you cannot. You very much cannot crossplay
that'd be
between the
so
Switch and the
cool,
PC
but
version.
yeah,
But
yeah.
her husband was like he was like, "Oh, that's a stupid game," and then immediately he started playing it. Basically, after he sat
Yeah.
down and played on the Switch for like 5 minutes, so she was like wanting to play it, but he was playing it. So I was like, "Oh, I can just put it on my Steam Deck, and then you can play on there if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, I have all these extra levels unlocked and stuff like that." And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I can just be like, "Oh, yeah, I have that game. You can play it on my Steam Deck if you want."
Yeah. It it's really cool. There's quite a lot of games on my library. They said like, oh yeah, it's at least Steam Deck playable. So I'm just surprised how many games there are that are playable. It's crazy to
Yeah.
me.
It's the year of
But
Linux. The tuxedo is no longer. The penguin's no longer crying, Tony.
yeah, it took off his tuxedo and then this gaming clothes. Wait,
Yeah.
what is gaming? Cosplay clothes underneath? I don't know what gamers were.
Gamers wear
Pajamas?
underwear. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
Do gamers wear underwear?
I no, I don't believe
I
it.
was thinking maybe gamers are only wearing underwear, but maybe gamers are naked.
Oh, sorry. Okay, right. Hmm.
Sometimes, bro.
I'm still not sure I believe that.
Right, Tony, as we've tangerine for half an hour on Steam Decks, let me go through another
Yes,
tangerine with you and tell you about the games I've been playing this week. So
Joe's games.
I've been playing Balatro still. I'm on challenge mode, so there's 20 challenges, and I've completed
Right.
18 out of 20. There's been some really tough ones. I think probably the hardest ones I've done so far have been the economy ones, inflation, and can't remember what the other one's called, but basically it makes it so every time you buy something, it increases the cost of everything by $1, I believe. Was the challenge I
That
did?
sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Not knowing how
Oh,
it
there's crazy ones. Like
scales.
the hardest challenge in the game is called Jokerless, where you have to beat the game without any jokers. And
It's just you're just
um,
playing the game
jokers are
normally.
pretty integral to the game in terms of
Yeah.
most runs. But yeah, then I've been playing Super Mario 3D Land, which is the DS version of the Super
Oh,
Mario Land. I've been
yeah.
playing that on the latest, the last version of the Citra that was ever released before Mr. Nintendo came along. I think it's all right, yeah,
Yeah,
because I was
rest in
playing it
peace.
like um, with the Henrico Magnifico 4K upscale pack. So he's basically upscaled all the assets into 4K, so it still looks pretty good. I've been playing Hearthstone Duos. The new Duos mode for Hearthstone came out.
Oh, I
I've
completely
got
forgot about
Hearthstone. I've got the artist formerly known as Hearthstone Andy back to play the game,
that.
and
Yeah, he's back to be. Wait, is this one of those times where like the artist formerly known as X is now back to being called what they're formerly called? Is that what happened?
sure, why not? But
Pastor
yeah,
Andy's back.
I was like, let's play duos because you said you played duos when it released. Because to get back into Hearthstone, he was a big Hearthstone player. He used to buy like the 50-pack expansion, every expansion. He spent a lot of money in
He
Hearthstone, and then he was
uses credit
like
card,
the
the
most
best card
powerful
in the game.
card in Hearthstone, the credit card. But he was like, yeah, I'll come back and play duos because he played Battlegrounds with me for a bit before, and we were going to play duos, and then immediately he was like, do you want to just build Weasel Tunneler decks and play them against each other? And I was like, yes. If you don't know, Weasel Tunneler is like one of the biggest meme cards in Battlegrounds because it is so like stupid and hard to use. But for the longest time, all I would do in Hearthstone was just try and make a deck around it, the one card, to try and make it work. Basically, it's a 1/1 minion that when it dies, it shuffles itself into your opponent's deck. So I guess the idea is you're just trying to put trash into your opponent's deck, but then
a banana card.
you kind of have to play trash. So, but yeah, we started building Weasel Tunneler decks. I found like it was surprising me how many fucking cards are in like because. Literally, for the past couple of years playing Battlegrounds, I've been launching the game and ignoring everything that isn't Battlegrounds. I've just been like, I don't want to play Standard. I'm just going to play Battlegrounds. I guess I'm talking about Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
I was going to ask about that anyway, so yeah.
So, I've just been ignoring it. I was surprised how many fucking cards are in Hearthstone now, like Standard. I'm just like, this is a card, this is a card. Like every time I would go through the new collection, I'm like, I can't believe this is a card now. That's insane. But yeah, I found somebody else's deck online because I was like, I wonder if anyone's actually built a Weasel Tunnel deck. Because with the Wild Standard that we were playing in, you can use cards from every single expansion. And I was like, there's got to be something broken at this point with Weasel Tunneler, and I found it. The 1-turn kill Weasel Tunneler deck, which is like nuts.
Is it a guaranteed kill? Or is it...
yeah, kind of, but also it's really hard. It's still like a meme deck. It's really hard to get to the point because if your opponent plays cards, you just kind of lose.
Okay.
That like if you just get smoked down by like aggro and stuff. But the way it works, you play Druid, and then Druid has this thing where they can gain a bunch of empty mana crystals, and you gain a bunch of these empty mana crystals, and then you refresh your mana. So you have like a bunch of mana, right? And then throughout the game, you summon as many Weasel Tunnels as you can and kill them. And you can, like, there's a card called Northshire Farmer, which is a core Weasel Tunneler card, which I didn't even know existed until I saw this deck. So now I know to put that in all my Weasel Tunneler decks, because Weasel Tunneler is a 1/1 beast. And there's a card that you target a beast and put 3/3 copies of this into your deck. So then you get more Weasel Tunnelers and put them in and kill them. And you can even play stuff like Nazoth, which is like a classic card that resummons all your Death Rattle cards you've played that game. Basically, you try and kill as many Weasel Tunnelers as possible because there's a card called Umbra that means when you play a Death Rattle card, it immediately triggers its Death Rattle. And what happens with Weasel Tunneler is if you play it with Umbra, it immediately shuffles it into your opponent's deck, meaning it doesn't take up any board space. The reason this is busted is because if you have two knife jugglers, which what knife jugglers do is they throw a knife at your opponent, at the enemy opponent or a minion, which deals 1 damage. So every time you play a Weasel Tunneler, it throws 2 knives at your opponent, and then it gets immediately shuffled into your opponent's deck so it doesn't take up board space. And Druid has this card that lets you double the next spell you cast, and then it has a card called Ambush, which resummons every card that you've played that's died that game. So you essentially are just playing infinite Weasel Tunnelers that are infinitely throwing knives at your opponent, and it is the funniest thing ever. But I love that it's actually so impossible to do in like most normal gameplay that it's still a meme. I played it against
the best.
I managed to pull it off against my friend, but I tried to bring it to the Wild Ladder, not knowing what any of the other cards are, and I was constantly getting my ass beat, not being able to pull this like Exodia combo
That's
off. Like I've not won a single
yeah.
game of one turn kill Weasel
The
Summoners yet, but I will get back to you if
Weasel
I do.
Exodia Weasel Deer.
Yeah, you
I
need
don't
to
know.
draw specific cards in order to like.
Yeah,
You need your Weasels, you need your
I
North
like
Shy
that. I like.
Farmers. Yeah,
I just like it. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh has like this just really cool Exodia. These like
that's what I
actually got
like to do in
weasels.
deck builders. I'm like, this card is
Yeah,
stupid. Let me build an entire
yeah,
deck around it. Like just that
yeah.
idea.
I really
And
appreciate that.
obviously, um, I had to go to someone smarter than me because I just didn't like the amount of cards in Hearthstone. I just don't know what cards exist in Hearthstone most of the time now. Every time somebody plays a card, I'm like, wait, that exists? Like, I
How
just can't believe it.
often? How often do they release new cards at this point? Like
So they've started doing what's
normal
called
game?
mini sets, and mini sets are, I think there's less cards, but they do them much more frequently.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, so mini
Just need to
sets
keep
are
it
supplemental
fresh.
cards. So
Keep the
they
set longer.
introduced a small number of cards, and so 35 cards, and later
Okay.
ones. So basically, they release a bunch of cards into the game, but they do them much more frequently. So
So how many a year do they add? Like
sometimes they do
a
like
couple
3 a
hundred.
year or something like that,
Okay. Okay, so
rather
this is like
than
about 100.
most Hearthstone expansions. It's like 1 a year, maybe. I think.
Yeah, that's what I remember back in the old days, just like 10 years ago when it's Hearthstone first. Well, I say first.
Hmm.
When did Hearthstone
1 or
get
2
big?
a year.
Is that 2014?
2014 is when it released. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then standard sort of died down, and then battlegrounds got a lot more popular. As if you go to Twitch now, the main game mode is battlegrounds.
Yeah. I think it's the
Um,
shit happened like in the pandemic, right? It became Battlegrounds.
yeah, I mean, I just remember I started playing battlegrounds because I saw Sips playing it on Twitch. I was like, oh, this is really fun.
Okay.
Um,
Classic
Let me
sips.
load up Hearthstone. And I was like, oh, the
Nah.
reason I started playing again is because I was sick and tired of getting nickel and dimed by Blizzard through standard, because it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like trying to keep up with the meta in standard and Hearthstone was so fucking expensive. And if you didn't, it was super expensive if you just bought some packs, and then it was super time consuming if you wanted to grind. And I had friends like Scorn Retorts who was like, he just wanted to, play some of the standard decks and go on ladder. And he goes onto ladder, and every single opponent he has the fully decked out meta deck and would just destroy him immediately. And I feel like the new player experience for standard, right? I don't know if it's the same right now, but for standard back then it was pretty awful. But I think they've been trying to do these mini sets more often, and I think they have like starter decks now where they're like, you can just buy like a specific deck to try and get you into the game, sort of thing.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's still too expensive, but yeah, that's still.
I think you can buy them with gold.
I like that. Okay, that's not too
with
bad.
in-game currency.
How? Yeah, this is a question of how quickly can you get that, but yeah, okay, that's fair.
Well, I was like, so there was these mini sets, and I was missing a bunch of cards, and I was like, oh, but so I don't play standard at all. But the thing is, when you play Battlegrounds, you can complete your daily quests in Battlegrounds. And I was doing this accidentally. So when I logged into Hearthstone after not playing standard for like 2, 3, like probably even more years, I had 21,000 gold and like 300 card packs from like the game going, hey, here's a bunch of card packs, play the game again. And then also like Twitch Prime going, hey, here's a bunch of free card packs.
Right.
So I was like, I'll just open all of these packs. And Hearthstone even has a system now where you can open multiple packs at a time. So you can open like 40 packs at once instead of individually. So I just opened like 40 packs, and I just got a bunch of dust. And that's how I was like crafting these legendaries that I didn't have to make the legendary Weasel deck. The one-turn kid Weasel deck.
That's fair.
But then I was like, oh, I've got a bunch of gold. What's the best thing to buy? I'll just buy some of these mini sets. And I think it's like 2,000 gold each. So I was like, I'll just buy every mini set that you can buy right now.
Yeah, not too bad then.
So I
Okay.
just got a bunch of cards, and hopefully I'll play some more duos. I had another friend who said he wanted to specifically play duos with me, sort of thing, because he's an arena player. He doesn't even play standard or.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I really forgot about Arena.
yeah, arena's cool. It's just yeah, it's a completely different game. Like it's sort of more like a deck, like a roguelike deck builder arena.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course there's the people that don't exist, the people that play Mercenaries, which is like fucking
What the
what's
hell's
that game?
Mercenary?
It's like Raid Shadow Legends in Hearthstone. It got released
Oh
like last
no.
year or
So
the year
like Auto
before.
Battler.
And you have like
Okay,
heroes that you no, it's not auto battle. I don't think.
no, so there's a better word for it. There's
Um,
what's it called? There's
you
this
have
name
like
for it.
hero cards with levels that you can grind over
Yeah.
time and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's Hearthstone. I'm still enjoying Battlegrounds. I really like duos because there's cards that only exist in duos. It's like its own unique game
Oh,
mode.
it's
So for the update
okay.
of because they before they had this update, they had quests inside Battlegrounds. They've got rid of quests now, but they've added a bunch of new cards. So they've basically removed all of the new cards. They've released a bunch of old cards and added new cards into the mix,
Okay.
which has been interesting because I've been going to solos and trying to learn the game now. Just trying to figure out what's good. One thing I figured out: Greymane's champion is fucking busted on 6. But kind of the way the game works right now is the game's super tempo heavy, it feels like, because I've been playing a bit of solos a lot, and it seems like the most power you can get is on like 3 and 4. Because I feel like I'm just dying constantly in the current meta, because I keep trying to power level to 6 to try and find those really good 6 drops like Greymane, and I'm just getting completely destroyed. I think you want to be like going to 3 and 4, building a board, and then just going up to those higher levels when you can, because the game is so tempo heavy, and there's no quests either, so there's nothing to like supplement being strong with, like tempo quests you could take. Like one of my favorite cards in Hearthstone Battlegrounds was Tea Master, and the way Tea Master worked, Tea Master Theater, was after you played a minion with no type, it would give 3 friendly minions +2/+2, which was really strong. The way Greymane works is every time you play a what's he called? He's called like Greymane's Champion or something. The way Greymane's Champion works is every time you play a even tiered card, it would give your minions +2/+2. So Team Master Theater, you needed 3 minions, and then you had to play no types. Greymane's Champion, you can have 5. You can be hitting 5. Greymane's Champion counts as a 6 drop, so you can be hitting like 6, 7 minions with +2/+2 buffs, and you don't have to play no types. You can play even, so you can play 2s, 4s, and 6s to buff them. And spells, which got added to the game, spells count towards this. If you play a tier 2, 4, or 6 spell, you can get the buff. And it turns out there's tons of economy cards and spells on 2, 4, and so you can basically just like keep cycling through, and it just makes your board really strong. I'm expecting Greymane's Champion to be nerfed in a hotfix or the next patch,
right.
because I think he's a bit too strong. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But obviously, this is the first patch. They usually figure out what's strong and what's not so strong. Because there's also there's tons of cleave on, like you get Foe Reaper, which is a mech on 6, which if you don't know, cleave is like it damages the minions next to it. And then cleave got changed from beasts to pirates, so there's now a swashbuckler who's a cleave on 4 as well. And it just means like there is another card they just added which buffs odd tier minions on tier 5, but it's nowhere near as strong as Greymane's, because I think it's a +1/+1 buff. And odd tier minions just generally aren't as good as the tier 4 right now. But it's interesting how the game, based on a single card being like, oh, you should play even tier minions. It's like, well, even tier minions are really strong, so this is a really good card. This is my TED talk about Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
Yeah,
But yeah, turning.
it's interesting. It's still going though. I think it's still a good. Yeah, it's
Well,
still
we
nice.
for the
It's still
longest
going.
time, Blizzard's been bringing their games to Steam. I think they should put Hearthstone on Steam. I think that would be
Yeah.
such a good
Oh
idea.
man,
Hearthstone on the
on
Steam
Steam Deck.
Deck.
Oh
I mean,
Jesus.
I've tried to do it myself through
Oh,
Battle.net, and
I
it's fucking awful. So
I completely forgot to mention this in my Steam Deck. I the touchscreen is great. People need to talk about the touchscreen of the Steam Deck
yeah,
more
because
often. It's so good.
you really like the touchscreen. You're asking me what my experience with
Yes.
the touchscreen. I was like, I barely ever use it because
Oh man.
I'm so used to typing with the touchpads from using the Steam
Yeah.
Deck because I would use the Steam Deck to control my computer as like a media remote when I was in bed and stuff.
Oh yeah. I
So
remember. Yeah.
I got so used to touch typing with the touchpads. I think it is like very easy to do. So I rarely use the touch screen, but I know the polling rate on the OLED version is slightly
Yeah.
higher.
I think is it like double the rate? It's not like 50% or something high. Like
I'm not sure.
It's definitely high. I don't know what it was like on new one. I don't remember testing it on your one. But yeah, it's like I was just like moving stuff around and like clicking things. It's like, yeah, this is super accurate. It's like I'm not feeling a delay. I can like move stuff around in the games that support it. In the games that are not Steam Deck verified and like don't work at all, at least work at the touchscreen. I don't know how that happens, but sure. But yeah, no, it's just I'm very impressed with the touchscreen. I don't know why people don't talk about it more often. I guess they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're just not used to touchscreens. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think many people game with touchscreens. I think it's just not.
No, but I just think card games with a touchscreen would be so good. Like I wouldn't even
I do
bother with the
sometimes use the touchscreen on
trackpad.
Balatro to move my cards around, but that's about it. Balatro is like
Is there a card?
one of those really good Steam Deck games because you can use controller controls, and then you can like very quickly switch to just using the touchscreen and doing it that way. So that's very useful.
I didn't mention either. We should move on as well. But I was going to say that the actual Steam OS in-game mode, I do really appreciate like the overlays and stuff. It's like just very very nice. Yes, we should. I feel like we should move on to.
Well, I just found out that
Hearthstone.
the polling rate has been changed to 180 hertz, but I don't know what the original Steam Deck one was.
So my understanding of like the rule of thumb is that you always want the polling rate to be at least double like your max refresh rate, just to make sure.
So the polling rate of the normal Steam Deck was probably 120.
That's what I would assume. Yeah,
That's what we would assume.
but I don't actually know.
Original Steam Deck touchscreen polling rate. Find out. Every news article is like, it's been changed to 180 hertz. It's like, what was the original really polling rate?
Yeah, Google's gone worse for that. Like, it's really hard to find like the information you're looking for now. It's just like, oh, but this is the most relevant. This is the most recent.
They also say that they updated the polling rate and also improved latency and accuracy. So I don't know if there was any other under the hood changes, but I think it's crazy. Like they were like, it's just going to be the OLED model, and then they like also like under the hood improved everything about it.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, I hope there's a Steam Deck 2 because that's when I'm going to upgrade this thing. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to.
I would expect the Steam Deck 2. I mean, as far as I can tell, like, it's considered a success, right? The Steam Deck.
Yeah, I think it sold like 2 million copies, maybe 3 million.
I think at least 2 million, so...
Yeah. I'm sure they sold a lot more with the OLED version as well because I think people were holding out for that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They weren't sold out when I like went to buy it, and it's like only took like a few days to get it. So I think they're stopped. I don't know if they've got more stocks than they used to, but yeah.
Tony, I didn't finish my list of games I've been playing. Oh, Lethal Company's new update. which is fucking
Okay.
awesome. I mean, I was playing the game and I'm like, yeah, this is still Lethal Company, but there's a new planet with a new creature, and I was like, this is fucking cool. It's like an animal. It's basically like a critter that runs at you and jumps on your head, and then it will like take you flying up into the sky. It will like pick you up, sort of thing. And I was basically like the entire time just trying to get them to pick me up and take me places. And I went into quicksand. I was like, oh no, I'm drowning. And then one of them flew onto my head and pulled me out of the quicksand. And I was like, they're saving my life. I love these little creatures now. Because I don't know if they're even hostile. Martin kept going around killing them. And I was like, Martin, don't kill them. They're my friends. They're helping me fly.
Okay.
And he was like, no, they're going to fly on your head and then drop you off a cliff. And I'm like, no, they're my little chup-chups. They're my friends. I'm friends with the natives.
Yeah, you believe.
And then on Games Pass, I finished Cocoon on Games Pass. There'll be a Tangerine on that at some point. I finished a Little Gator game, which we've done a Tangerine on, which I think is up now. It's under Cozy Games.
Yes.
I started playing a game called Lonely Mountain Downhill because a friend installed it. I've been playing that. And that's pretty like relaxing, like downhill mountain biking game. And then I saw this like games that are leaving Games Pass. They have this thing that comes like, these games are leaving soon. And I remember we talked about Shredders, which my friend was playing, and at least me and you. I don't know if we talked about the podcast, but well, he streamed it to you, right? The Shredders game, where the snowboarding game, where it was just like, what the fuck is this?
It is okay. It's the sort of biggest loss I've had all year, though. I'll give you that.
But I decided to be like, okay, I've got like a week or something. And I think it was like, they give you quite a lot of notice. It's like two or 3 weeks. They're like, these are leaving soon. So I was like, okay, I'll try. So I downloaded Loot River, played that. And I also played a game called Ravenlock. And one of them I think's okay, and then the other one I was like, I hate this. So we will talk about like that in a Tangerine, I guess. But let's move on to trailers. Okay. So we have there was a Nintendo Direct third-party thing. So there wasn't any big announcements, but there was some small stuff, and one of the big ones was Steam World Heist is getting a sequel. So there's going to be a second SteamWorld Heist. If you don't know, Image and Form Games, one of my favorite companies that never usually release a game in the same genre, is actually making their second ever sequel, I believe this is, because I think SteamWorld Dig is the only game to ever receive a sequel from them before. But the way the SteamWorld Heist game works, it's like a turn-based tactics game. That looks really, really fun. I haven't played it, but I have it, and I want to play it at some point. And this section where you're moving around on a map and shooting stuff, it reminded me a lot of the new Cat Quest game, because that has that big open map aspect, and I think it's a pirate one, so you're moving around on a ship as well. But looks really cool. I'm a big fan of SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2. I'm a big fan of The Gunk that they made. I also really liked SteamWorld. What's the city builder one we called? SteamWorld Build. SteamWorld Build was the city builder / mining game, like mine management game, like Dungeon Keeper almost. That was really, really cool. Then we had the other game that was announced was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. This was an interesting one because this was originally a Apple Arcade exclusive game. So it's a mobile game being ported to Switch, which makes a lot of sense because limited hardware, you would expect that, mobile games could run on the Switch. But apparently it's like a co-op Hades-like game. Like almost like a straight up sort of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles clone of that sort of thing, and people said it was quite fun.
Really cool.
And yeah. But I think because most of the games they showed off are also coming to PC. Like I think SteamWorld Heist is obviously coming to PC as well. I think this game is exclusive to Switch. So it was exclusive to Apple Arcade, and now it's exclusive to Switch as well. which is kind of disappointing that it's not coming to Steam as well, because this looked like it could be pretty fun. And especially like moving around and stuff, like as somebody who's played Hades on a PC with a mouse and keyboard, on a Steam Deck with a controller, and on a mobile phone with a touchscreen, I can imagine this game coming from being with a touchscreen is going to be much better with much better with game controls. So yeah, it would make sense to put this on the PC as well, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. So I'll have to wait and see. Also, I wanted to mention this Sandland trailer, and I will mention it very quickly because you will not be able to hear what I'm talking about because it's muted for obvious reasons. The Sandland trailer that they published features Darude Sandstorm as the music, which I thought was hilarious. So Sandland is one of the last... Is it Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z? He was like directly involved with a lot of the... like Dragon Ball games, and also very famously Chrono Trigger, which is considered to be one of the best RPGs of all time. He was very heavily involved with in terms of like the art and stuff like that. And I think like Toriyama's made like a huge impact on like a lot of like art in the way he did like Dragon Ball and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty huge. Yeah.
But yeah, this is like, I think this is the last Toriyama game, if I believe. Which is why people are like... I know people were already very interested in it, but it seems like people are like, okay, this is the last one. They want to see his like legacy sort of thing, right? Because I think Sandland is a manga that he wrote, right? So this is directly based on the manga that he wrote, which is cool to see.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Actually, directly, yeah.
Then we have announcements. Path of Exile has put out a warning that a malicious news post from their Steam page was posted by a compromised account. If you followed the link in their Steam post, your account may be compromised. So apparently, it's not just Steam updates now that can be compromised. The Steam news posts or the Steam page updates can now be compromised as well. So we reported on that
Chromium is on Steam now. Is that what's happening?
I'm not.
It just feels.
I'm not sure if they. I think it was phishing.
I don't know how it's executed. So is it just a phishing scam or is it?
Well, the scam that was on there was a phishing link. I don't know if Path of Exile got.
Fair enough.
I don't know if they posted how they got. How they got compromised. But yeah, apparently, we talked about developers now can't process builds onto Steam without having like a two-factor authentication on the build now. Because there was that issue with the Slay the Spire mod Downfall getting compromised. Apparently, this doesn't apply to posting community posts. So that's a completely different system. So that doesn't require two-factor, which normally I would say you're just posting news about the game. You don't need to. You probably wouldn't need two-factor, but it turns out people are now realizing this and putting malicious stuff into it. And
because people trust the information, right? So I feel like it's just.
If I saw a Path of Exile post and it said click this link to see more information about stuff, I go, yeah, sure. I trust Path of Exile's Steam page. I've never seen a case of it being compromised until now. But yeah, maybe we do need some tighter stuff on that store page stuff.
Yeah, we're there, but yeah, I guess that's where we are.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor joins EA Play on April 25th. This is the newest Star Wars Jedi game. And of course, because EA Play is included in Xbox Game Pass, this will also be available on Xbox Game Pass on April 25th. So cool to see if you want to check out the newest Jedi game. Also, speaking of EA Play, EA is raising the price of its EA Play subscription. So it used to be annually £20 a year, which I would say is I've used EA Play before for the £20 a year, and I thought it was pretty reasonable for what you were getting. Was access to pretty much all of EA's back catalogue that you could want to play in a year, sort of thing.
Yeah,
But it's now being
that's a
changed
reasonable, yeah.
to £35 a year. So it's going from £4 a month to £6 a month, which I think personally I'm not willing to pay that much for it now, especially when it's included in
No.
Game Pass. And I don't think Game Pass has gone up that recently, is it? I think they definitely did raise the price on Games Pass, but I don't remember when they did. I mean, I remember using Game Pass when it was like in beta, and they're like, "Hey, you can get 3 months for £1 and stuff." Like when it was in the early beta, they really wanted people to use the PC Game Pass. But I guess every subscription service is realizing that everything costs more, and they're just having to charge more or adding ads to everything. And
Well, even if they don't have to, they want to. So
yeah.
you never know which one is which.
I will say the EA Play one was legitimately a good deal for the long
Yeah.
time, so it doesn't surprise me that they're raising their price.
Yeah, I think it was limited, and I it wasn't that limited, but yeah, it was very.
Well,
High
I mean,
prices.
this is the basic tier. So this was the
Yeah.
£20 version would get you access to their back catalog, and then they had a pro tier, which was much more expensive. It was like £90, but you got to play like EA's games day one sort of thing. So if you wanted to play like Battlefield as soon as it launched, or Dead Space Remake as soon as it launched, that was the tier you would buy, sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
That's how it was like different. It had separate tiers for its different, playing day one releases or not. And then usually what would happen is like a year or so later, the big day one releases would eventually come to the basic tier of EA Play. 7 Days to Die is leaving early access, which seems crazy to say because this game has been in early access for 10 years, Tony. Absolutely nuts how long this game's been in early access.
Time,
I've actually played this game quite a bit with a couple of friends, and I quite like 7 Days to Die, but I haven't visited it in a long time. Hang on, I think I closed Steam, but I can open the store page.
I've watched people play it, but never been like confused to want to try it myself.
Yeah, I'd say it's very much like a wave-based thing. The reason it's called 7 Days to Die is every 7 days you have like is it a blood moon every 7 days, or basically
I think so, yeah.
There is like a big event where you're like, okay, the game's about scavenging for as much as you can, and then it's about building a base and trying to defend it from like a massive wave of zombies, and then survive on and improve your technology and stuff.
Which I love the idea of. Like you need to like prepare for this inevitability.
I feel like
I quite like that.
I was about to say I've played a little bit of 7 Days to Die, but I feel like I haven't played that much. Apparently, I've played 60 hours of 7 Days to Die, so I have played quite a bit of it. But I feel like I've scratched the surface of this game. I feel like there's a lot more to explore in this game, especially since I think does it tell you how long it's been since you launched it on the store page? I think you have to go through the Steam client to do that, which is annoying because I closed that. But yeah, there's been a lot of updates. No, that's when I purchased it. I purchased it in 2018, so that's probably around the time I played it. But yeah, we'll see.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
Then we have Cancellations. You want to talk about this? Oh, hang on, I can update you with a live update.
This is the big bit of disappointment.
Last launch in 2020, so I've not played it in a couple of years as I get a bunch of achievements. This happened the other day where I got a bunch of achievements for 7 Days to Die, even though I hadn't done anything in 7 Days to Die.
You just went.
I opened Steam and it was like, oh shit! It's automatically resuming my download to update Dead by Daylight. Oh, live news, guys! Dead by Daylight is
update.
No, it's actually a big update because Dead by Daylight is going from Unreal. It's going from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. They're moving the entire game over. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, Star Trek Infinite which we talked about because we're big Star Trek fans, and you're a big
Yes.
Stellaris Paradox fan.
Yeah, and we both thought the models look really cool for like the stations and the ships.
They have announced that the game will no longer be receiving any further updates, which is kind of a shame, considering the
Yeah,
fact the game came out about 6 months ago. Like
yeah,
October
at
last
most 6
year.
months ago. Yeah, 6 months.
Um,
It sucks because like even the positive reviews are like, oh, some things need to be changed.
yeah.
Like it's a nice thing, but these things need to be changed or updated. It's like it just sucks that you have these four factions. I believe there's a Borg crisis, but it's just then very limited what you can do
Hmm.
and some very prescribed events. Let's say. I
You were
don't know.
saying
Or
maybe
like
they
two
should do
options.
the Paradox sort of like DLC model. They did have some DLC, but it released with the game as like a digital deluxe edition,
Yeah,
and it was very much more like
yeah.
the City Skylines radio packs, I think, because they have something called Star Trek Infinite Galactic Tracks and Neutral Zone Tunes. So I'm guessing this just gives you bonus music to listen to while you
I would
play, it
assume
seems
so, but
like.
Paradox loves to launch games with day one extra stuff, which I don't
Yeah.
necessarily agree with. But yeah, it's just such a shame that this is kind of being stopped because I don't know. I just kind of they took an older. My understanding is they took an older version of Solaris that's still had the warp capabilities in because at the moment Solaris only has hyper lanes.
Yeah.
And they took the warp stuff in and they then added to it and obviously made it more stable and operate. So it's like kind of interesting in that regard, but yeah, it's just such a shame because the genuinely like the Cardassian, the Romulan, and the Federation and the Klingon ships look really cool. And the stations look really good. It's like, I just wish these were available as ship sets in
And then
Solaris itself. That'd be so good.
you have like the icon of Starcraft Infinite. You have like fan favorite characters. You have like Gul Dukat
Yeah,
and fucking Gowron and
I
Picard and what's the name of
it's
the female
crazy that you have
Romulan
Golden Cut and
lady?
Gowron. It's like a lot of people forget about those characters, and it's like we have just crazy they're just right there on the thumbnail. Yeah. Uh kind of a shame. Like I kind of wanted slowly to add more mechanics, like make it more realistic and be able to more role play in the Star Trek unit or Star Trek Galaxy, let's say. I think there's something to that. I was thinking
I was
about
gonna
this. Like I feel
the
like I
oh
wanted
god
like it starts with you already in the Federation. If you choose Federation, just like it should start you as humans as a vassal underneath the
yeah
Vulcans. That's how it should really start.
oh like Enterprise.
Yes, that's how it
That'd
should
be
really
interesting.
start.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't know. I think fundamentally, this wasn't a game for me, like in terms of the
Yeah,
gameplay. But I love the unit. I would love to have like a more of like a first person Star Trek game where I could like boots on the ground, sort of just walk around the universe, or like just a
yeah,
starship in that universe would
yeah.
be so interesting to me. Um, but yeah, it's a
I just think
shame this
you could
game didn't
a
do well.
cooperative campaign would be really good in the Star Trek universe. I don't know why we don't get more games. I'm gonna be honest, because you could just don't you don't need the main characters. Just you can play new characters in the same
Yeah.
time.
I was going to say the only Romulan I remember by name
I don't.
is Tomalok from TNG. He was like always the foil of Picard. In
Oh yes,
he was always fucking with
is
him in
it
TNG.
is it Tali is the one from Picard or something? What's the one from Picard called? I
Oh,
don't.
the Telsiage, or what are they called from Star Trek
The
Picard?
super, yeah,
The super secret agents of the Romulans of
not the
Romulus.
secret agents, the super secret ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
But anyway, we have some delays announcements. We have Prison Architect 2 has been delayed to September 3rd. So I believe it was supposed to be coming out soon, May 7th, and it is now coming out September 3rd. So, Tony, what are your thoughts on Prison Architect 2? Because it's not the original developers, it's being
No.
overtaken
Yeah. So who? It's not. Is it the original developers that now maintain Prison Architect? Was it completely new developers done that?
I thought you would know better than me, but I'm assuming it's
I've
who
not
maintains
looked
it.
into who's making it. I've
Okay.
seen stuff on Prison Architect 2, and I thought it's fine. I think some people are like, oh, why are you changing the art style? I'm like, well, why does it matter? It's a different game. Like, there's no point
Yeah,
doing the
because I
same.
saw the trailers and I
So
saw
do
the
something different.
3D guys, and I was wondering if it was full 3D or if it was just like 2.5D. And how's it? Have
I'm
you
not.
seen gameplay at all?
No, I've not. I've not seen gameplay of it. I've just seen little bits and bobs. I don't know how it's
It looks
gonna
almost
run.
like full 3D from the images I'm looking at,
Right. Okay.
which is quite different from
Yeah.
the top-down 2D stuff of the first game.
Yeah. I guess it just like goes like like more like a real time. Non. Yeah. I guess it's just less performant. I just hope they keep the same. That we could like every object having like a use and some sort of
The
stat behind it.
developer
That'd be
of
great.
Prison Architect 1 is listed as Double 11 and Introversion Software.
Yeah, Introversion with the original Double 11 were the
Okay,
people
so
that then
Double
carried
11 are
over.
doing the second game. So it's the new
Okay.
guys that were
I
maintaining Prison Architect 1 and now doing Prison
Yeah.
Architect 2.
So Double 11 originally were contracted out to make the console versions. Then they're like, oh, we want to make DLCs for the console versions, and then Introversion like, yeah, these are really good. Maybe we should add it to the PC game because I think Introversion really appreciated them at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're a good studio. Curious to know what they would do with 3D.
Yeah.
I think they've done some weird
Have
DLCs
you
for like
seen
the
the
old game,
cinematic
but
trailer for Prison Architect 2?
it's a bit crazy.
It's like, oh, I'm in 2D, and he's like, I'm escaping the Matrix. I'm going
Yeah,
into
yeah.
3D now. I thought that was pretty funny. Um,
I
but
still,
yeah,
I still,
so
I still place my heart for the old 2D style. Just something nice about that. But
you're
yeah,
saying Prison
we
Architect
have
2
a new
wasn't
game.
really on your radar? Like, it's not something you're like, oh, I have to get
No,
this when it comes out, sort of thing.
I wouldn't know. Yeah, I don't know what's actually different there. I just want to. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see it fully formed at this point. I've been burned too many times for management slash building
I mean, if
slash
you're a Paradox fan,
resource
I
stuff.
mean, you've been burnt
Yeah,
quite a few times.
I've
So
been burned quite. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see.
speaking of it, as a Blizzard fan, I gotta say, you can get burnt quite a few times
Yeah,
by a company, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but let's move on to releases. An hour and 15 minutes into the podcast. Next up, we have Turbo Golf Racing has come out of early access. So this released 2 years ago, I think it came out in early access. Let's have a look, because I've remembered. Yeah, 2 years ago, I talked about this. I said, "Oh, it was." I bought the game. I said it was really fun in the beta weekend I played, and then I played the full release for a couple of hours, and I was like, "Yep, kind of played everything I wanted to play in the beta," and then I
Yeah.
didn't play it again. So I'm curious if, like, the full release, people are like, "Oh yeah, it's really good time to get into the game." They've like throughout the early access, they've really changed the game a lot. So let's have a look at this. Like Rocket League, but you're playing golf and without a toxic community. Let me see. If there's any more recent ones. They're not just about the like the overall, but more specifically about the game. Comparisons get Rocket League are inevitable, but it's unfair. It's much more akin to something like Sonic Racing. Ah, yes, two of my
Oh, thank
favorite
you.
games.
Thank goodness. Hmm.
I played a ton of this during early access, and so I'm to finally see it get full release. Even if I can't play it a ton currently, I regret another 150 hours I put in. Really fun game, both from being chill and competitive. Played a ton of early access, now the full release, and it just gets better and better. Tracks feel fresh, physics feel fun, Overwatch's a blast with friends. I did see there was an update thing that said they added a bunch of new maps. So maybe I'll have to go back and try this out, because I know they added it to Game Pass as well, so I'm assuming a bunch of people have been playing it for the 1.0 release on Game Pass as well. So maybe yeah, I did really enjoy this. It's just like that. It's like Knockout City. I'm like, I played it for a long time in like the beta, and I was like, this is really fun. And then it came out, and I'm like, yep, it's the same game. I'm gonna go off and play something else now.
Yeah.
Then we have, so that was the 4th of August. Inkbound came out of early access. It was initially put into early access on the 22nd of May 2023. This is a turn-based tactical roguelite from the creators of Monster Train. So these Monster Train is one of the most popular roguelite deck builders, but this is more of a turn-based thing. And I think it got good reviews when it came out in early access, but I wanted to see what it's like now. If you enjoy roguelites, this is probably for you. You can play it with a game alone or in a small group of friends. I tried it solo. Well, I think the visual style is really good. I just didn't enjoy the upgrade system and that the classes that looked really interesting to me were locked behind quest lines. It plays really fluid and the abilities are made well. At some point, the ground markers for enemies attacks just get too plentiful. I had a fight in the tutorial that had ground markers of 9 enemies. At that point, it was just visual overload. If you can handle that, though, it's a very nice tactical game with some very light RPG elements into it. I'm an RPG snob, so that's it. It's good. Yeah, it seems people generally like it. I don't know. What do you think of this, Tony?
We need ChatGPT to summarize the
ChatGPT, what do people think about Inkbound? That honestly, as much as a meme as you're saying that actually might be useful.
No, that wasn't a meme. That's something okay. I think ChatGPT is actually really good at. It's really good at I think AI is very good at summarizing.
There is like a extension you can get where you can basically go to a web page and it will just summarize the article for you through ChatGPT.
Yeah. I have checked many AI stuff that do that. I'm like, oh, how good is it actually do that? I'm like, you know what? I don't see any problems with this. So I've not seen any hallucinations from like it.
Hallucinations. I just love that that's a term you have to use when you're
love that's
talking about AI.
No sci-fi ever predicted AI hallucinations, but here we are.
Yeah, well, Charlie Brooker is furiously writing a script for Black Mirror right now.
I look forward to it because they're kind of crazy.
Children of the Sun came out. This was a Devolver demo I played in the Next Fest that I really enjoyed. You remember it was the game where it was sort of like a Hotline Miami sort of like game where you shoot, but it's like a puzzle game where you shoot a bullet. You have to make sure that the last place you shot the bullet from, you can shoot the next enemy and combo all the bullets together. So let's see what people are saying for the full release. Got traumatized, shot several people, destroyed property, got horny. 10 out of 10. God forbid girls have hobbies. Love the art style and puzzles. A little on the shorter side, 4-ish hours, but it's a nice JFK assassination simulator. So it seems like people are saying it's short and sweet. Oh, I'll just ignore the last part. I won't question it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 4-hour puzzle game with shooter elements. I liked the demo, so maybe I'll pick this up at some point. I probably won't pick it up immediately, because if I was going to pick up a game immediately, I would get Pepper Grinder, because that was the one that I was most interested in from like the demos we played that weren't Balatro, which I have been playing. Like I think I have like 80 hours in Balatro now, so I've been playing that a lot. Sky Children of the Light. I had no idea this was coming out or what this was until I looked at releases, and I looked at the trailer and images, and I said, that looks a lot like Journey. And then I looked at the company and clicked on it. I was like, oh, these are the guys that made Journey. They're making a free-to-play online weird experience with like no communication. And I was like, is this just Journey again?
Journey 2.
So I was like, you know what? It's free. Let me add it to my account. I was thinking about just like, I should just launch this and try and play it again, because I famously did not like Journey, but
no, I remember.
I'm willing to give it another go. Maybe there's something in this game that I'll really enjoy, but I mean, it's free, so let's see what people are saying. As a gamer who loved the game company since the birth of Journey. I feel a conflict, love-hate relationship about Sky. I have been playing Sky for a while from the early seasons and watched it grow into what it is today. I have a genuine love for the game, but as long as time player, I have also long-time complaints, all that I've unheard and ignored. And for this reason, I advise people to wait until they're fixed because it will save you from the frustration if you stick around for the long run. It's a beautiful game, but it has a lot of work on. It has a lot to work on to feel like the safe and friendly community they claim to be. Unfortunately, I cannot post a full review due to space issues, so I'll only be addressing ugly negatives. You cannot report players unless they're your friend. You cannot delete friends, and endgame dress up contest. So yeah, what is the gameplay of this though? I'm assuming you just go around and you. Well, that was what I was asking myself when I was playing Journey. It was like, okay, I'm walking around the desert, and then I'm talking, and then it randomly gives another person who's also playing the game, and you get to jump up and down and go, oh my god, there's another person also jumping up and down in the desert. That's crazy.
Equally as confused as I am.
Yeah. They did Flower, right? They did that Flower game where you're just a flower flying around.
Did that come before or after Journey?
I think after, maybe, question mark? I'm not actually sure. It was around the same time, so I'm not 100% sure. But I remember like Journey and Flower were both PlayStation exclusives, and then they later came to PC.
Okay. Yeah, I remember them being massively pushed on PlayStation as like a deal, or like a downloadable game.
Yeah, but maybe I'll play Sky Children of the Light, and maybe I'll love it, maybe I'll hate it, and maybe I'll forget that I've added it to my account, and I will look at it in 2 years' time and go, wait, I own this game? What is this? Yeah.
You can only hope.
This came out on the 10th of April, so I assume now would be a good time to play because there's probably lots of people loading it up, seeing that it's free on Steam and going, oh, I wonder if anyone else is playing this. Because they got listed as an MMO on Steam. I'm like, what is the MMO element of this? I'm so curious. Maybe we need to do like a spotlight on this game.
Maybe. I have to write it down as a...
Harold Halibut came out on the 16th of April, and...
Total Halibut?
Total Halibut, yeah. Shout out to TB. It is a handmade narrative game about friendship and life of a city-sized spaceship submerged in an alien ocean. Join Harold as he explores a vibrant retro future world on his quest to find the true meaning of home. So this is the one where it's sort of like everything's claymation sort of thing. Like it's all like, I don't know if it's actual claymation or made to look like claymation, but it looks very stylized. But yeah, I looked at this game and I went, oh, it looks intriguing, but it's probably not something I would play. Even though I've heard, people seem to like it. But I also said that about Citizen Sleeper, and then I played Citizen Sleeper, and I'm like, this is amazing. I want to play more Citizen Sleeper. So maybe Harold Halibut is a game I should load up on Game Pass and just give it a go and see if I like it, sort of thing. I mean, there's no downsides. But I probably won't do it now because I'm going on holiday in like a week. So I'll probably attempt it when I get back because I'm not looking to start too many big games. I don't know how long this one is. Very unique game. It's like being in an animated Wes Anderson film. The visuals and sound design are incredible. Loving the experience so far. For those who are looking for an exhilarating game that involves you doing many different puzzles, etc., this is not it. As all the reviews have stated, you mainly just walk from A to B, but I think I had a better description and experience as an interactive stop-motion film where you can sit back and enjoy the story, visuals, and music. I'm thoroughly enjoying just exploring the world and appreciating the details. Props to the developer creating such a different and special game. So it seems like it's mostly a walking simulator with light interaction is what I am getting from these reviews. Which is why I'm not, jumping the gun to install this and play this right now, but we'll wait and see. People seem to like it. I mean, it's not got many reviews on Steam, at least, only about 200. So let's wait and see on that one. No Rest for the Wicked came out on the 18th of April, and I was very hyped for this one because it is made by Moon Studios, which are the developers who made Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will o' the Wisps, two of my favorite games, two of the best Metroidvania games ever made, two of the best HDR games on the PC right now. This game also has very good HDR from what I've heard. And I've seen mixed reviews on this one. So a lot of people are saying that the performance issues are not great. So there's no upscaling in the game. So there's no DLSS, there's no FSR. There is resolution slider, but there's no FSR or AI trickery through XeSS or DLSS.
Right.
And yeah, you need a very strong CPU to get good performance out of this game. And then even a lot of people are struggling to get good performance with powerful CPUs. I know. So I was like, oh, it's Moon Studios. They're going to basically put this on Game Pass, right? But it turns out, because we've had this discussion before, where you're saying like Moon Studios is an indie game that was being published by Microsoft, so you weren't sure whether they were actually like a independent studio because they were massively pushed by this big behemoth company, like trillion-dollar company that was Microsoft. For this game, they're actually being published through Private Division, so Microsoft has nothing to do with this one. And that's the reason this one's not Game Pass, because I was assuming, Moon Studios, Microsoft Game Pass. But they are releasing this game. I think the advertising's been really confusing for this one as well, because all the advertising has been like, it's an ARPG, and I was like, it's a Diablo-like game. And then the game comes out and it's like a Souls-like game, and I was very confused. I was like, this is not the game I thought it was going to be at all. But also, another thing they've never done, they've released it in early access, which is, they usually release their games, fully finished without early access. So I'm wondering if...
Yeah, I see that's a funding...
Yeah, I was thinking, was that a funding thing where... Because obviously the optimization is like, they have on their roadmap adding stuff like DLSS. But it's not in the game yet, and there's some clunky stuff that people are saying about the game. Like, I'm honestly glad I didn't pick this one up on release day, and I'm just going to wait for the early access to finish and then maybe pick it up or see if it comes to Games Pass eventually, because I have a feeling that I could really enjoy this game, but I think, from what I've read of a lot of the reviews, they said the core game is there, it just feels unfinished, sort of thing.
Right. So maybe one day.
So yeah, a lot of people are just saying it's good, but there's a lot of room for improvement, sort of thing. Good base game, could turn great on launch. But yeah, I was watching some of my friends playing and some stuff on Twitch, and it's like, this looks like a Souls game. And then there was this whole discussion people were having online about, what does the term ARPG even mean? Because Diablo is an ARPG, but Dark Souls is an action role-playing game, and action role-playing game just kind of means a role-playing game with lots of action in it. So like,
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Anything with the word, any genre with the word action in it, because there's like action. Is that action platform with action shooters? Like, just anything action is like, what does that mean? Like, I feel like we just need more specific.
Well, I think
tags, but I guess you got other tags as
well.
The
currently stood term for ARPG has just become Diablo-like games. So like Diablo, Path of Exile, Last Epoch, like Torchlight, like that's become the de facto term to say, it's an ARPG, and I think that's what people understood. And I think Moon Studios was going on the old school definition that is the actual definition of ARPG, which is why people might have got a bit confused. Because like even Souls games at this point, they have their own subgenre that people call them Souls games.
I think that makes sense. Definitely different feeling.
Let's move on. Dead Island 2 came out on Steam yesterday. So this was a Epic exclusive for a year. And
Oh, it's one of those.
my friend Martin, he literally said a couple of days ago, he's like, "Yo, Dead Island 2's coming out after all this time." And I said, "It came out a year ago on Epic Games. You've been able to play it for over a year if you really wanted to."
Yeah, but a lot of
He was
people just
like,
get
and
that
he was like,
information
"Well,
from
what did
Steam,
people
though.
think of the game?" And I was like, "I think they thought it was okay. I feel like most people were like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't
it
like
was
mind
fine. Yeah.
blowing." But it was like this didn't need to be a game that was in development for what, like 10 years or something like that. A lot of reviews are just saying fuck the Epic Store. That's useful. Imagine dragging the devs of a game because you don't like the store it was released on. Anyway, I've played through it many times on Epic and enjoyed it enough to buy it again on Steam, so take this from me. Ignore the Epic game haters.
I'm not saying this is bad, but imagine writing a review where you're talking about other reviews, talking about a game or another store. I'm just saying.
Some people are saying you have to link Epic services. I think didn't they do that with the Sonic game?
Stuff.
Sonic it wasn't Origins, I don't think, the new one.
You had to do that with until recently for Satisfactory as well.
Yeah, if you honestly have to be connected online to Epic, I mean, it uses the Novo, so you're always going to have to be connected online. Apparently it's playable on Steam Deck. Dead Island 2 is playable on Steam Deck and has been tested for smooth gameplay without significant bugs, but they haven't got the verified status. I'm guessing because of Epic Games stuff or de novo stuff. Which is probably why they cannot be listed
Whichever
as...
is worse. Yeah.
Although Diablo 4 is Steam Deck verified, despite the fact you have to be always online because of the Battle.net stuff. So take that as you will. But yeah, people... I think the game came out and people were like, yeah, it's fine. It's not... It's not as the highs of like the Dead Island 1 or like Dying Light, but it's not low. It's a fine zombie game. I think most people, that's what they were saying, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on to quick news, Tony. Ghostwire Tokyo removes de novo anti-tamper on Steam. So they added de novo a year into the game being on Steam because they were adding a DLC. So they added the because I've played it. It's the roguelite DLC they added, where you could basically go through a bunch of combat encounters through a roguelike thing where you collect money and you could buy different upgrades and stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. Now that year of that DLC's being up, they've removed de novo.
So that makes sense that de novo was there for the online portion only, but I guess was it selected for like the single player?
Sorry?
Was it still active when you were trying? It was only active when you were trying to do like the online parts.
Or was what online parts?
I thought it was like it was like the scoreboard was like technically online, so it's like you had to have de novo.
I don't know if there was but the DLC was completely single player for the most part. It could have had scoreboard stuff. I don't remember, but
I swear like one of the DLCs had some sort of online component like that, which is then why they had it for some stupid reason.
No, I think they literally added de novo because they updated it with DLC and they didn't want people to get the pirated copy out there.
Okay, right.
I
guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Xbox Cloud Gaming is adding mouse and keyboard support to more games. So xCloud streaming service, you could use it but only with a controller. But now you'll be able to stream your Xbox games if you have a subscription to Xbox Ultimate with a mouse and keyboard. So 14 games have been added to the list. Age of Empires 2, that makes a lot of sense. Atomic Heart, Ark Survival Evolved, City Skylines, Deep Rock Galactic, Doom 64, Fortnite, browsers only. I thought I was going to read Bowser's only because I've been playing Super Mario 3D Land. Gears Tactics, Grounded, Halo Infinite, High on Life, House Flipper, Illuminati, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, not Norco, Pentiment, Piku Niku. Isn't that being removed from Games Pass this month? Quake 2, Sea of Thieves, Slime Rancher 2, Sniper Elite 5, State of Decay 2, Terraria, The Sims 4, Valheim, and Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Valve has updated TF2 to 64-bit, boosting performance of the 17-year-old FPS. So if you know, Tony, you remember how old apps used to be a lot of the time 32-bit?
Yes.
And
yes,
most modern apps are built on a 64 bit architecture.
I think somewhat recently is like Minecraft used to support 32-bit operating systems and now doesn't.
Yeah, it's becoming a lot more deprecated, and
yeah,
the idea behind this was this would be a big performance increase, especially for people on lower end systems, because this would massively help out with CPU bound scenarios a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Fortress 2 frame per second count is increased by about 20%, resulting in a much smoother experience. I think this probably helps out Steam Deck performance as well, I'm going to guess.
Oh,
and
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, Valve has hired this contractor that's been fixing TF2, and I guess...
Oh, it's the same guy. Is it this one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably the same, the one guy who works on TF2 at this point. Because for the longest time, people were like, "Oh, Counter-Strike Global Offensive got updated to the Source 2 engine. When's Source 2 TF2?" But that would require so much more work than updating TF2 from 32-bit to 64. I think that what this says is TF2 is important to keep going for us, but it's not, we're going to remake the game in Source 2 important. Like, we don't have people actively doing it. It's not the behemoth that, like, Dota... They just did a massive Dota 2 update, and the game has been peaking like crazy. CS2 is still going strong, although they still... I know a lot of people recently have been complaining about the cheater problem in Counter-Strike 2, how they don't think Valve anti-cheat measures up to stuff like Valorant's Vanguard or Easy Anti-Cheat's kernel level stuff, because Valve Anti-Cheat does not run on the kernel level. And I think Valve as a company is probably opposed to installing stuff on kernel level anti-cheat.
I think the direction they're going, it would make sense to oppose and find other solutions. Yeah. So what do you know what specifically like people are like seeing this like actual like seeing like too many hackers and cheaters and things? Like, is that they actually?
I don't know.
A lot of stuff.
I don't have numbers or anything. No, just from what I've
seen.
I
just feel like I just like to hear people's actual problems. Like, sometimes they're like, oh, they don't have this, and then it becomes they don't have X instead of actually.
I can tell you personally, when I played Counter-Strike Global Offensive on non-VAC servers, that was one of the worst experiences of my life for hackers. I remember, to get Prime status to be able to play on the VAC servers, you needed to link your mobile account or have like a copy of the game as well. And I had a copy of a game, but they later made Counter-Strike Global Offensive free to play. I'm assuming Counter-Strike 2 is free to play now. I don't think they would turn around and suddenly go, it's no longer free to play. You now have to buy it. No, it's free to play still. But because I was grandfathered in because I owned a copy of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I had a friend who didn't own Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and he couldn't play on the VAC servers. So I was like, okay, we'll just play on the non-VAC servers with you because you don't have the Prime status from owning the game.
Yeah.
And that was awful. There was hackers everywhere, and that was in CSGO, and that was without VAC. So I'm assuming like the acceleration that's been happening between kernel level anti-cheat and people exploiting that not having kernel level anti-cheat in a game as popular as Counter-Strike, you're going to have a lot of cheaters. And from what I've seen of like, I think it was Two Clicks Phillips put up a video recently about VAC and stuff like that, and talking about CS:GO. It's Counter-Strike 2 cheating. So if you're interested, that's a good video to watch about it. Yeah. Persona 3 Aegis, which I'm now finding out about. Apparently, there was a Persona 3 mobile game called Persona 3 Aegis: The First Mission, not to be confused with Persona 3 Aegis: The Final Chapter, which was the extra DLC stuff that was in the original PS2 release of Persona 3, is now being released on Steam and Nintendo Switch. So it was a mobile game from 2007 that was exclusive to Japan. And I just think as an archival point, this is really, really cool. Because obviously this is something that would be otherwise completely lost to time. Because you can get the Steam page version, but because it was only ever released in Japan, the Steam version is only in Japanese. So I'm assuming that I would not be able to play this at all, in terms of not speaking any Japanese. But it's cool that it exists and that it's being preserved for people to play in the future, which is cool to see. Blizzard Entertainment and NetEase have renewed agreements to bring back titles back to China. So, guys, WoW is coming back to China. Phil Spencer's taken over Microsoft, taken over Activision Blizzard and Microsoft, and they're no longer pissed off at Bobby Kotick, and they've re-agreed to open WoW. Apparently, this is a big deal because they had pre-registers for people that wanted to return to playing WoW in China, and they've already had 2 million people pre-register to play World of Warcraft, which would mean an active subscription to World of Warcraft.
That's absolutely insane.
2 million pre-registers, almost 1 million comments and thoughts collected for the rebuild of the Gorehowl statue. Oh, I don't know if you remember this. When the relationships between Blizzard and Activision and NetEase broke down, there was a statue of Gorehowl, which was like Gorehowl's a famous weapon in Blizzard lore. It's like a big axe. There was a statue of it at the NetEase campus, and they destroyed it in retaliation of the breakdown of the relationship. Apparently, they've rebuilt it now. Chosen comments have a chance to be on the new statue. So we've got 92,000 accounts successfully recovered, 146,990 accounts successfully reactivated, and 1,000 plus resumes received for new open roles in the new Blizzard NetEase joined venture company. So Blizzard is coming back to China.
Good luck, everyone.
Speaking of WoW, Blizzard's put out a post recently saying under development, WoW Remix Mr. Pandaria. It seems like Season of Discovery has just gone, Blizzard's just gone, well, fuck it, why don't we just try weird things? So they are going to do a limited time game mode. So as well as the Battle Royale like Plunderstorm stuff, with your WoW subscription, you're also going to be able to play in a time-limited event, which will allow you to re-experience the entirety of Mr. Pandaria expansion, but it's not like Classic. It's an accelerated rate from level 10 to 70. So all loot has been completely overhauled, and powerful new effects allowing players to shape their experience, power up and power on. So you'll have accelerated leveling. You will create a new WoW Remix character to start at level 10. And the customized items allow you to power up as far as you can go, take on tougher content, convert unwanted items into bronze, which can be used to upgrade items or purchase cosmetics, and you can take your collection of transmogs with you into the war within. So you can start like farming up transmog stuff to take within the new expansion after this point.
That's pretty cool.
You do not need the expansion, but you do need game time to play this. That that seems so. They're saying WoW trial accounts will be able to use it, but only up to level 20, which seems like a waste of time. That's always been the thing with the WoW trial, is it's always been pretty bad. Like you can compared to other games. I don't know if you know like how Final Fantasy 14 works, but Final Fantasy 14 basically lets you play like the entire game before you have to start subscribing to it until you want to start to do the expansion sort of stuff. So you can get to max. You can get to like max level in Final Fantasy 14. Okay. And I'll read the limitations off for you.
There seems to be why would you want to subscribe to that?
You can only create up to 8 characters. Their level cap to 70. I'll tell you what the max level is. I think you can go higher than that. Level 90. So you can play like most of the game in Final Fantasy 14 through the trial. Whereas the WoW one has always been like insanely restricted to a point where it's not worth ever doing the WoW trial unless you are just like, let me see if this game is for me for like a couple of hours and then decide if you want to sub.
Yeah.
Like there's no point for me to go back and play the trial, for example. But yeah, it is cool like how they are taking that Season of Discovery idea and going, well, Mr. Pandaria, it was a popular expansion to a lot of people. Why don't we take that experience, let you level up through it super fast, and let's just add new stuff to it. Let's completely remix it and add new stuff to it. And I think this is really, really cool. Not only the fact that you get to re-experience that, you get new experiences, and you also get to get transmogs for the new expansion when that comes out as well, which is really, really cool to see. Because I know with like Season of Discovery, I played the first phase. I know now, because people call it Season of Dads, SOD, Season of Dads. Well, because they're saying like it's designed for people who don't have a lot of time to play like dads sort of thing. So it is like, because you know, you have all these new abilities. It's like everything's time gated, so everyone has a chance to level up together and catch up and get to the same point without having to rush through it in like a day and try and kill themselves. And they've also, I think in Season Discovery now, they even have an optional XP boost you can use to get up to the new content faster if you would like. Which, if it wasn't like the remixed version of Classic, people would be up in arms. But they're like, well, we're just trying out new stuff. And I think people really like the XP boost. I would probably use the XP boost if I went back to SOD and played it again. Because I just want to test out the new shit. And I think this remix style is Season of Discovery, Season of Dads.
You can't call it solid.
Why not? Sod's Law, why not?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, it looks really, really cool. Fallout 4 is getting a free update. You must be excited for this, Tom. You love Bethesda updates. You're a Bethesda enjoyer.
You're right. Yeah.
So the cool thing is,
I don't know how they manage this. It's like, how do you add like small features and break it so much? I expect so many things to break because the way they update stuff is just normally quite bad.
Yeah, so I think it's big for the console releases because you're actually going to get to play the game at 4K 60 on a Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5. I think there was like a mod that allowed you to turn off VSync and you could get towards like 4K 60 on those consoles already with the original like PS4 and backwards compatible version of those games anyway. My worry is they specifically say 60 FPS, and as you probably know with Bethesda games, for some reason they always seem to tie the physics to the frame rate, and when you go above like that 60 FPS, the game breaks. I remember famously when Fallout 76 launched, if you looked at the floor while running and unlocked your frame rate, because you'd be getting so much more performance, you could just like zoom across the map because you basically were not having to render anything. You were getting super high FPS.
My understanding is it's a Creation Engine problem, so I think all games on Creation Engine have this issue
What
the way
worries
they've
me is
implemented
then
it.
is they're not saying like, oh, on PC now you'll be able to play I don't know, 120 FPS seems pretty reasonable
Yeah.
for current year. Like
So the
we're
way that
Fallout
the
4 is what, a
Skyrim mods
10-year-old
work,
game at this point?
the way the Skyrim mods work, like obviously it's some creation engine but different game, is that you have to get a different mod to change the engine to the even like you basically just switch out some of the engine stuff to be
Well,
able to make it run 100 FPS
Starfield
properly.
has a 120 FPS mode, right? It's the first creation engine game to run at 120
Yeah,
FPS, I believe,
I
officially.
guess they learned from. I'm assuming they learned from what the mods were doing to fix the problem, but I don't know what the solution was.
But they're releasing DLC quotation marks for the free update. It's basically just a bunch of um, cosmetic stuff. Is this from like the Creation Club or something, right?
I
Like they
would
did with
assume
the
so.
anniversary edition. Yeah, free Creation Club items.
I
Um,
just so again, so basically what they're doing is adding Creation Club stuff as free as content to break an
yeah,
update, which is exactly what they did to Skyrim. It just
but it's
annoys
free.
me so much.
It is free.
Sure,
They're not charging
sure,
for it this time. Um,
yeah,
so that specifically for PC, they said basically it will have ultra wide support and it will be Steam Deck verified, but they have mentioned nothing else. I was really hoping if you're going to be updating a 10-year-old game with some stuff, you might go, oh, yeah, by the way, the PC version, 120 FPS, upscaling like DLSS or FSR would be nice.
yeah, yeah.
It's in Starfield, which is in the Creation Engine. I don't know, seems reasonable to add some of this stuff, but it's Bethesda. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I just get a feeling that like a lot of the way has been done by modders still. Like I just feel like not much is done by the actual developers. Maybe that's unfair, but yeah, it just feels kind of lazy.
Well, because my question is, it's Steam Deck verified, and what Steam Deck
Mm,
verified means is usually what it means is it can launch and it will run at 30 FPS. That's what Steam Deck verified
yeah,
seems to mean these days. And even then, there's
yeah,
some games that are Steam Deck verified that don't even always hit the 30 FPS target. They'll go down to like 20 FPS or something. The Steam Deck OLED can run at 90 hertz, 90 FPS. Can
yeah.
Fallout 4 run at 90 FPS on the Steam Deck OLED? I would hope so. But whether they actually did
Low
the legwork
settings,
to make that
maybe.
happen, I mean, it's
Yeah,
Bethesda.
I don't know what state it's in because I'm not bothered with Fallout for
Yeah.
so long. I
Okay.
probably never will actually.
I feel like I have barely. If you go back and watch our original podcast, it
Yeah,
is us going and talking, complaining about Fallout 4, because this is like, what, 10 years ago we did the
yeah,
original podcast, something like that. It's us
yeah. At least 9.
talking about Fallout 4 and then how like it's a bad RPG but probably a good shooter. And then for some reason I'm so confused. I then say it's my game of the year. I don't understand why. But immediately I'm like, oh yeah,
I
Fallout 4 my game of the year. I feel like I've
I
barely
don't
played it, and
remember
then I look
either.
at Steam and it's like you've played this for 17 hours, and I'm like, have I? I don't remember playing this for so much, but I did.
There's not
I
much
have
in the game.
I
Yeah,
did start like Fallout 4, like it came out at the end of 2015. So it must have been what, 8 years ago, something like that. We were talking about this. Um, but yeah, basically,
yeah. I can't
um,
remember what was timeline now.
um, but yeah, obviously, like a lot of DLC has been added at this point to Fallout 4 as well. I do want to go back and
Yeah,
revisit Fallout 4 at some point. I know a lot of people are doing it now, as you can see with the popularity of the Fallout TV show. I
yeah. I think they
think
should try New Vegas.
people are trying out New Vegas. New Vegas is one that is seeing
Yeah,
a big
they
up
are. They
spike in
are.
players. It's all of them really, like Fallout 3,
Yeah, yeah,
4, New Vegas, and Fallout 76. I think the ones that have got the most replay though are 4 and 76, and I think this is solely because they are the newest ones. So I think they're the most
yeah,
accessible.
yeah.
I believe Fallout 76 even hit its own, it even beat its own concurrent player count record recently.
That's
Like,
crazy.
people are going back and playing Fallout 76 in droves right now. People are really, really enjoying it. I personally, when I went back and played Fallout 76, I wasn't a big fan of it, even after the launch. I think I went back and I played it with friends, and I think people have said that it's a better solo game despite being a fucking almost like an MMO sort of game. When I played Fallout 76, the most fun I had was in the Battle Royale game mode that they removed.
Yeah, that
So,
sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
but then
What the
I don't think a lot of people
fuck?
actually used it. But I was using it because I heard it. I went in and played it specifically because I heard this was being removed, so let's try this out before it doesn't exist anymore. But I actually kind of enjoyed the Fallout 76 Battle Royale stuff. But whether it would have the tail to keep me interested is another thing. I mean, I think definitely the graphics and the usability and the gunplay of 76 and 4 are a lot better than the older games.
Oh
But
yeah,
it,
sure. But I still feel like I think it's a lot more fun with like, yeah, sure, like the shouldn't feel good, but like so when it still becomes shallow, if like it doesn't
like,
change how
I'm
you
like
play or how your skills work.
I'm like a big New Vegas guy. Like, I think it's one of the best
Yeah.
games ever made. Like, it's like a masterclass in RPGs. And I also really like 3. I have played through 3 and all the DLC. I think it is um, one of Bethesda's best games. And you can see like a lot of the legwork for 3 goes through into New Vegas, because
Yeah.
essentially,
Same
Obsidian
same
had
thing.
that groundwork of Fallout 3 in order to make New Vegas.
Yeah, they had all the art asset, the engine and the base
Yeah,
mechanics.
but yeah, I mean, Fallout 4 is to get. I was talking about like mod lists with you for Fallout 4, and I was like, I want to install
Yeah.
the mod list that just removes all the settlement stuff. That is the stuff I'm the least
Yeah.
interested in. I don't want that,
Yeah.
like, what's that guy's name? He just keeps calling you up and going, one of your settlements at
Preston
Preston.
Garvey.
And he's like, one of your
I'm
settlements under
familiar
attack. And
now.
I'm like, I'm a lone wanderer. I just want to walk around.
Yeah.
Also, I want to listen to a good radio station. Don't make me do that fucking quest in Diamond City where I have to go and give the radio host confidence. I remember that quest because I remember how
Yeah.
awful the radio was in the beginning. One thing positive I'll say about Fallout 76, the Appalachia radio, very good. I like Appalachia radio. It's got the Beach Boys on it, I remember. So it's a
Kind
good
of
radio station.
appreciate Codsworth, but it's like that's quite. Like, it's
I like
not. I'm
Codsworth
just trying to think
from
what I actually
Fallout 4.
like. I'm just trying to think back because I played it quite a bit. Like I think I've definitely played more hours than you. I'm just like, what actually did I enjoy? I'm just like,
I never
yeah.
finished the game, so.
No, I didn't.
But
I
my
don't like
idea
the
was I
synth
wanted
stuff
to go back
anymore.
with a mod list, and I own Fallout 4 VR now, and I'm wondering if I should just go and play Fallout 4
Yeah,
VR and see if
yeah,
that's
I could see
interesting.
VR being interesting. Yeah.
Um, that would definitely be an experience for sure. I think one of my biggest problems with Fallout 76 is you just can't mod it because it's an online thing.
Mm.
I think what
Yeah,
Bethesda
well,
made
my biggest point
was
is an online thing. I think it should be a
what I
co-op
think
thing.
what Bethesda made was a MMO version of Fallout, and I think what most people
Yeah,
wanted was Fallout with co-op. They
yeah,
could
co-op
mod
would have been so
and
much
play how
better.
they wanted
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah, and just be
Um,
like peer to peer instead of it through their
so
servers.
I've watched the entirety of the Fallout TV show, and I really like it. You're not a big
Yeah,
fan. I think
no,
what the Fallout TV show nails though is the 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 mood and the universe of Fallout. It kind of like it gets it really right. Like the general like mood of Fallout, how it's like very gory and harsh,
yeah,
but also very funny and silly at the same time.
yeah. I think it can be
Um,
handled differently, and like my disagreement is kind of like the way they do it, and some of the writing, and some of the way they show normal wasteland characters. But Yeah, I can appreciate. Yeah, like they set the right
Most
tone. The
most of the
look of it, I
Fallout
think the
fan,
look looks perfect.
a lot of people are really liking the show. Like a lot of Fallout fans are like, "This
Yeah,
is really cool."
most
So
people
it's
like it.
cool. It's good to
Yeah,
see that there is more like video game TV shows that are actually being well made. Like I watched the
yeah.
Last of Us TV show recently. And I really loved that. And I'm trying to think. Is there any other video game stuff recently? There was a Super Mario Bros. Movie, but I have not seen that. I'll reserve judgment on that one until I see it. Um,
People like that one, right? I can't actually remember what people said. No, I had no interest in watching it, so
I don't
I
know,
didn't pay attention.
but yeah. Um, Fallout TV show is making the Fallout games very popular. It's making me look at the Fallout games again and go, man. But obviously, immediately after you stop playing Fallout New Vegas, you want to play Fallout New Vegas again.
I think,
Um,
well, you can play New Vegas again.
yeah, I could. I mean, not with a week until I have to go on holiday, that's for sure. But one of the biggest mods, Tony, that has been in development for the past 10 years is called Fallout
Yep,
London.
yep.
And
I remember Flight London.
they were supposed to launch 2 days before the next gen update was announced to be coming out just out of the blue. And what
Yep.
happens if you don't know with big updates to Bethesda games is, or any game really, generally, they will usually break every single mod with the game because you then have to change how the mod interacts with the game because it's now a completely different version.
I will say Bethesda seems to mess this up more so than other games. 'Cause, like there's some like Minecraft will have like a small update, right? It's like, oh, okay, clearly like you need to update it. But it's like, oh, the model will say, oh, it was
But
super easy.
it's a
We'll
shame
update.
that
With Bethesda, it's like, oh no, we have to like do all of this because they change one thing for no reason.
it's a shame that what seemingly is going to be like a tiny cosmetic update
Yeah.
for
Well,
Fallout 4 is going to completely break this
yeah,
big
because
expansive single player mod for
the
Fallout
other
4.
thing that Bethesda doesn't do is version selection. Like because they want you to get access to the Creation Club, right? So it's like, oh yeah, you need to have the
Well,
most up to date version. Not
basically,
going to allow you to
in
backdate.
this video, they were saying, yeah, we could, say don't download the newest update and try and stop yourself getting it, and we'll release it for that version. But basically, they said we want everybody to be able to experience the new
Yeah,
Fallout London mod, and they are going to have to delay the launch of it because they have no set release date, and they can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen because a lot of the mod is built on top of Fallout 4's script extender, and they can't
yeah.
do anything
That's
until
got
that
updated
gets
first.
updated first.
Yep,
So they don't have a
and that's
definitive
what sucks.
date to be like, okay, it's going to come out here because they have to wait for script extender to be updated, and then they have to make sure everything's working good and bug free and can verify it, and then they'll be
Yeah.
able to launch it and let you play it because it looked like a really cool mod. Another interesting thing, I don't know if you knew this, Tony, but the mod itself is like 60 gigabytes. So it was
Oh,
literally
dear.
too
Okay.
big to be hosted on Nexus. So the actual Giga
Okay.
Chads over at GOG were like, "Oh yeah, we'll host the mod for you on our GOG
That's kind of
page."
cool.
So you'll
That's
actually,
cool.
when it comes out, you'll be able to download the mod on GOG, which is really cool to see.
That's nice.
Maybe I should
No,
maybe
I was
maybe I should
actually looking
ignore
forward
Fallout
to
4
this.
and just play Fallout London. I wonder how different it'll
Yeah,
be.
yeah. I genuinely was looking forward to Fallout London because like I don't know anything about like Europe in the Fallout universe. So.
Well, this will just be made up. This will be non-canon made up stuff. So
Oh yeah, sure, sure, but
we'll have
that's
to
still
wait and see.
interesting to me. And
Is
in
it
a way,
interesting
might
to
actually
see
trust them
somebody's
more than
take on it?
Bethesda. Yeah,
I mean,
but I think I trust them more than Bethesda. So.
we talked about this on the podcast, but literally one of the developers for Fallout London was hired to work for Bethesda.
Oh yeah,
So there's
yeah.
definitely a lot of talent on the team from what we've seen. I'm just trying to think how many. A lot of these big mods don't usually come out. I mean, we had the big Fallout New Vegas mod that came out and had some very mixed opinions based on the developers, what he put in the game. I don't know if you remember about that. What was that Fallout New Vegas mod called?
I vaguely remember the controversy. I don't know what it was called.
Fallout the Frontier.
Hmm.
But yeah, there was some like controversial stuff in that mod. So hopefully there's nothing like that in Fallout London. We'll have to wait and see when that comes out. But they seem pretty legit. Um, let's move on to Emulation Retro news. We have Tony, Discord is nuking Nintendo Switch emulators, devs, and their entire servers. So we have, I think it was Suyu and Sudachi, both forks
Yeah.
of Yuzu the emulator. Nintendo has, Discord has DMCA struck them basically and taken down the servers basically.
I yeah, I see that's preemptive just in case they get in trouble. I see they don't.
So
I
Discord
think that
said
makes
that they
sense, to be
respond to and
honest.
comply with all legal and valid Digital Millennium Copyright Act requests. In this instance, there was also a court-ordered injunction for the takedown of these materials, and we took action in a manner consistent with the court order, reads part of the statement. The developers, Suyu and
Yeah,
Sudachi, only
fair enough.
received vague messages about how they were sharing content that actually allegedly violates intellectual property rights. According to images shared with The Verge, meanwhile, Discord tells us that following its normal process for DMCA takedown requests, but that it's not all that clear that was a valid DMCA takedown request, or those communities were actually violating IP rights. And it's quite possible Discord isn't following its own policy by kicking them out.
Yeah,
Remember, Nintendo
I
got
personally
users
think
to
they might not.
settle rather than proving it in court, and the settlement did not give Nintendo the rights to Yuzu's freely copyable GPL v3 code. Developers of Yuzu's forks also claimed they were changing the code further, among other practices, in an effort to
Yeah,
avoid pissing Nintendo off, and the code wasn't hosted on Discord in any case. There
that's
was
yeah. Okay, that's pretty slimy then. Yeah, someone somewhere is abusing something, and yeah, I feel like you shouldn't just be able to do that. But
Sudachi developer Jared Nora tells me it came out of the blue. Their first email was that the accounts had been broken, the TOS, with no additional information. He claims Sudachi was doing anything. He wasn't doing anything infringing. Later, he was told it vaguely had something to do with intellectual property, but says Discord has still not given him any details.
I'm gonna say is that I know Discord is like super useful, and like we're using Discord right now, but like, I
Yeah,
just feel like can we just bring forums back? Why is everything moving to Discord? Like again, Discord's great, but
people
why is it
just
replacing forums?
people
That
just
seems
don't want to
weird to
use
me.
for like as soon as Reddit started to take over, people were like we don't need forums anymore, and people just
Yeah, but
stopped using them.
I think we're now gonna start getting burned by that. And I think there's already like archival
I
issues with
mean,
like not having forums.
I don't personally. I think the only forums I use are I use the Steam forums a lot. Um,
Yeah,
but other than that, I pretty
I
much have replaced everything with Reddit servers.
I think you use more forums than you think. I think there are a lot of things that like there's like at least for me like it's like I like search for like a problem and like it's like on an older forum platform where it's like people trying to
Right.
solve like a certain
But
like
is that
technical issue.
me using Google to go to a specific forum post, then never using that forum again? Is that me using the forum?
Yeah, I would consider yeah. What I'm saying is what's been happening in the last like 3 years. People aren't hosting them on these old forums that are going on Discord, which is unsearchable in Google. And then like
Right.
you
Okay.
get told to go and help with, oh, just join this Discord server. And it's like, well, that's not searchable in the same way. I would say, yeah, searching it on Google and finding it is still using a forum. You're not maybe like signed in, you're not maybe like using it like yeah, let's say you're using Reddit or the Steam forum, sure. But I would still say you're using it, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, just bring forums back. I know that I guess Discord was free and forums is gonna be hosting issues for sure.
So we've
But I think
so speaking of emulation stuff, we saw the first emulator up on the iPhone, which was the iGBA that was functioning and working. But it turns out somebody uploaded it through stolen code. It was a
uh
copycat version of developer Riley Testet's open source a GBA for iOS app. The emulator rose to the top of the App Store following its release, but some people claim the app was a blatant rip-off overlaid with ads. And then it seems like after a takedown request was removed from the store. But we actually got the Delta emulator on iPhone, which is a 100% copyright-owned emulator. And Tony, it functions like an emulator on Android. You basically, I believe it has a bunch of cores, so it supports SNES, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color. It has a bunch of support for those, and you basically just have to put your ROMs onto your Files app on your iPhone or in your iCloud storage, and then you can load them up through the app. So it's really, really cool to see that you can do this now. I've heard even you can use it with like a backbone controller if you have one with like the lightning cable. Or the USB-C cable if you have the iPhone 15. And it has a touchscreen display if you want to use the actual screen. And I've heard the haptic feedback of actually pushing the touchscreen is actually pretty good. If you're using the on-screen display, obviously you wouldn't want to play something like a platformer, but maybe like Pokemon or something would probably be pretty good with a touchscreen display. There's not much like quick button presses you need to do.
Just hitting the screen slowly.
But yeah, this emulator has save states, auto saves, cheat codes, fast forward, rewind.
Does it have the save states for you, does it, or do you have to do that yourself?
It's got auto saves, yeah.
Okay.
So you can just have auto saves if you don't want to mess around with save states. I wanted to test this, but I have not been able to fucking get iTunes working with my computer and iPhone. I've been trying to put files onto my iPhone, and iTunes just will not detect my iPhone, and it is infuriating. I hate iTunes so much.
You can't do Android.
I can't just plug my phone into my
USB.
I can plug my phone into my PC, and Windows will recognize it, but I can't actually put files onto it that way. Apple will not let you.
Because on Android, you have to plug it in, then change your USB setting to file transfer mode. Which Tangerine here. You know, I don't know if you remember this, like a couple months ago, people were like, there might be like if you plug your phone into a power socket with in the wild, it might be like hacking. And it's like, isn't the default settings for Android to only accept power? How would they hack it?
I don't know.
Anyway, that's my Tangerine.
Then we move on to mods. Lawbreakers is playable again, unofficially. Cliff Bleszinski, one of the main guys behind Lawbreakers, sort of his passion project when he was developing it, has linked to a third-party private server for the website. So Boss Keys no longer exists, who was the publisher of the game. Or the developer, but the actual rights are now owned by Nexon, who has no connection to Cliffy B or these private server guys, but it seems like they've taken it in their own hands to stop the game being dead, which is cool to see.
Right.
I don't know if Nexon will just randomly come after them with legal action for no reason, but we'll have to wait and see about that.
Seems,
Quest 3 has got improved pass-through quality, external mic support, and a lying down mode through a free software update, which is cool to see. Because I was thinking that the pass-through quality could definitely do with a bit of improvement, especially if you see something like I think a lot of people said obviously the Vision Pro is a lot better, but I think the Quest 3 definitely has a bit of room for improvement with the current hardware it has.
Well, a lot of image processing is like very much like how you handle it in the software and dealing with stuff. Obviously, there is camera quality of itself as well, but a lot of it is software.
So
it's good to see an improvement there because that's very useful.
Dynamic range and exposure control has been notably improved, making it easier to view physical screens like phones and monitors. The graininess has also been slightly reduced. However, this comes at the cost of slightly darker and less vibrant image. Interestingly, this new pass-through tuning included the darkness and vibrancy trade-off is closer to Apple Vision Pro, as we noted in our review of it. And they haven't visually changed, however, is the harsh geometric warping distortion. So something I've noticed is if you like put your hand up to the camera and put it near your face, you'll get like a lot of warping around it sort of thing. It's very noticeable with the Quest. From what I've heard, this is not like a big problem with the Vision Pro. The Vision Pro is like zero latency. There's not really any big geometric warping issue. Obviously, there's a big difference in price between the headsets.
Yes.
But yeah. And also, more Quest news actually. We have this announcement that Meta has announced it's going to be opening up the OS of the Meta Quest, included with the Meta Quest 3 to other hardware manufacturers. So, including Lenovo and Asus. The latter is supposedly creating a dedicated gaming headset with all the ROG trimmings too. But not to be left out, Microsoft reportedly has teamed up with Meta for its own headset, an Xbox-themed Meta Quest. So I believe the Xbox-themed Meta Quest will have a pre-installed Xbox Cloud gaming on it and stuff like that. Going to be interesting to see like how third-party companies change the OS of the Meta Quest and alter it. It's interesting to see like how Zuck's opening up the Quest to third-party stores. I mean, we've had SideQuest on the Quest for the longest time, and Quest is actually a more open platform than a lot of other stuff. It's definitely more open than the Vision Pro for sure. But you can, like I've done it myself, you can put SideQuest onto your Quest. It's essentially an Android device. You can run anything that runs Android, you can just run it on your SideQuest. And that's how we've got amazing VR ports like the Dr. Beef Quest ports for stuff like Doom and other stuff, right? I think he did Tomb Raider recently. But it's going to be really interesting to see how like a ROG Quest looks like, or a Microsoft Quest looks like. Is it just essentially going to be a Microsoft Xbox on your face?
Yeah.
I mean, interesting to see how these are going to, turn out. All we know is Zuckerberg suggests it'll come with an Xbox controller and a Game Pass code in the box, which will be pair nicely with the recent Xbox Cloud Gaming beta application on the headset.
Yeah, I just feel like the normal one is still going to be a better pick for how I envision using this, but maybe that's not true for what other people want to do. I'm curious to see how successful other ones will be.
In business news, we have our good friends over at Embracer Group have announced it will be splitting up into 3 companies. The board of directors of Embracer Group AB today announces a transformative step for the value created through a separation of the group into 3 market-leading games and entertainment companies. So there will be Asmodee Group, Coffee Stain and Friends, and Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends. The 3 entities will be separate, publicly listed companies. So there'll be Asmodee, Coffee Stain, and Middle-earth Enterprises will all be the 3 companies. And they're going to be each entity to better focus on their respective core strategies and offer more differentiated and distinct equity stories for existing and new shareholders. Again, it wouldn't be Embracer Group without saying how they're going to help their shareholders with all of this.
Yeah.
So Asmodee is a global tabletop game publisher and distributor with extensive studio network and IP to catalog. Coffee Stain and Friends is going to be a diverse gaming entity with a dual focus on indie and A/AA premium and free-to-play games for console, PC console, and mobile. And then Middle-earth Enterprises will be their AAA game development and publishing studio. So that's how they're splitting them up. Asmodee for tabletop, Coffee Stain for AA and indie, and then Middle-earth for AAA is how they're splitting it up, basically. All I've got to say is fuck Embracer Group. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to interesting news. Triple I Games. We got a bunch of announcements, and I think my biggest announcement that I was excited for was definitely Slay the Spire 2. Slay the Spire 1 is one of my
Yeah, it's
most
pretty
played
big.
games on Steam. I absolutely adore Slay the Spire, and it's awesome to see we're getting more Slay the Spire. Uh, so we have an official store page now. The trailer was just a cinematic, and it showed like the Silent and the warrior guy, and I was like, oh, cool. They're bringing back the original characters. You've got like the warrior and the rogue, the silent, and I was like, wait, who the fuck is this skeleton guy? And so we got the
Yeah,
announcement
that's
of
cool.
the new class, which I believe is a necromancer. He's called the Necrobinder. A wandering lich who seeks to bind the forgotten corpse. Call upon his trusty left hand Osti in combat. So there is a confirmed new class as well. Gameplay wise, it looks fairly similar to the first game. But we do know specifically one of the big reasons they made a new game on top of, just trying to update the original with new stuff is it's official that when there was the whole thing with Unity and its fees, Megacrit Games was like, we were literally in the middle of developing a new game in Unity. We are not going to develop it in Unity anymore. Slay the Spire 2 is officially going to be coming out in Godot. So they're actually
Yeah,
going to be
I've heard
using that engine
it's
instead.
not. I heard it's not too bad. Like it's not easy either, but it's not too bad to like port it from Unity to Godot, like with
Well, I know,
your
like,
your code. So
I know Dome Keeper was made in Godot, and I played a game recently that was in Godot, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But there is quite a few games like big indie games coming out in Godot engine, and like there's dozens of them. There's dozens of Godot
well, I feel
engine
like this
games.
is like the start of the I don't know, the start of the coming of more Godot stuff. There's always gonna be some delay.
Oh, Window Kill. That's the game I played recently that was
Is
in
it
Godot engine.
like Godot?
Yeah, so we've got Backpack Battles, Halls of Torment, which I also have. What else do we have? Unrailed 2 is going to be in Godot. Was Unrailed 1? Unrailed 1. Unrailed Game Engine. What engine? I'm guessing the first one was probably Unity. Unrailed 1 was in Mono Engine, whatever the hell that is. But yeah, if you're interested in
That's
looking
not
up,
their own engines.
if you're interested in looking up Godot Engine games, Godot Engine has a YouTube compilation of like upcoming games in their engine. If you're interested in seeing
Yeah,
like what sort of
there
stuff is in Godot already.
there are quite a few people using or wanting to release stuff in Godot. So like, it's definitely. I think there's gonna be a stream of them coming.
But yeah, Megacrit was like, "F you, Unity. We're gonna get our own. We're gonna move our own to a different engine with blackjack and hookers," and they have done that now, which is cool. So they follow through with that. Next up, we have Risk of Rain 2 is getting an official update where they'll be adding a Dead Cells free expansion, I believe. Is this? Yeah, free content update featuring Dead Cells crossover. So there's a new zone, and then there is also Dead Cells cosmetics and stuff. So that's really cool. I need to play Dead Cells at some point. I think you mentioned you wanted to play Dead Cells on your Steam Deck, and I was like, yes,
Yeah,
I also need to
noticed.
play Dead Cells because I have not played that yet.
I want to play Dead Cells
But I
Castlevania,
was
so I need
also
to buy
watching
it.
this, and I was like, I also need to play Risk of Rain 2 again because I actually love that game. And
Yeah.
I haven't played any of the DLC or anything for it, so I want to play Risk of Rain 2 again. Kill Knight was the biggest surprise for me in terms of how good it looked as something I'd never heard of. So this is like a twin stick bullet hell game, but it doesn't seem to be roguelite. I think a lot of people are complaining like, oh, everything's roguelite recently. But this is like a twin stick shooter, but I think the art style and the graphics look absolutely gorgeous. I love the aesthetic, and I just love how everything looks in this game. It looks so freaking cool. Are you watching the
Yeah.
trailers as well on the
Yeah,
doc
I
page?
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because immediately I looked at this game
Yeah,
and I was
that
like,
do look.
it could be like a Survivors game, like a Vampire Survivors, but apparently it's not a roguelite. So
Yeah, is
be
there just
interesting to see.
levels you go through that?
Well, I think this is just
Oh.
based on the store page, is what I looked at. It just listed as top down bullet hell arcade, but it doesn't have the roguelite tag at all. So I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure on the gameplay loop.
Yeah, curious to know how you progress. Yeah. Okay.
If there's a demo for this game, I'll play it. It looks very, very good. And then the
Yeah,
next one I was
I
interested
do
in
like
was
this as well.
Shadows of Doubt is getting an update. The detective immersive sim game where you have to go around solving crimes for money is getting an official assassin sharpshooter update. So people will be able to be murdered like across the street with like a sniper rifle and stuff like that now, which sounds really, really cool. And I also want to talk about the Triple I games. The Triple I games showcase was really, really good, Tony. It was literally all they did. There was no adverts. There was no fluff. It was here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer. They
Yeah.
literally just showed trailers for 45 minutes and said, "Here's some really cool shit. Goodbye." I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. Like, perfect length.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect execution, yeah.
Next game I was interested in was
Do appreciate that.
just Stolt, Steam and Cinder. This is a pixel art Metroidvania game. If we didn't have enough of those already, we've got another one. I think the animations look really, really sleek. I'm a little bit worried about the level stuff. You don't normally have like level stuff in like Metroidvania games, but I'd be interested to see how that works. I like how the platforming looked, but it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Wait, is there already a demo for this game?
Is there? I haven't looked into it, I don't think. I'll click on the store page. Oh yeah, there is a demo, so I could try it out. It is releasing on the 21st of May, so it's coming out soon. Then we have Vampire Survivors is getting a Contra DLC, which I'm very excited for. I was a big fan of the Among Us DLC.
Yeah.
So excited to see the fact that it seems like Konami is just working with everyone right now because they're doing like the DLC with what's the vampire game? V Rising.
Yeah.
Castlevania V Rising, yeah.
Yeah.
As well.
And they've already
cool
done
but
Castlevania Dead Cells.
I can't wait for Vampire Survivors with guns. This is finally what we've been asking for.
Yeah. Contra Vampire Survivors, very weird.
Yeah, because they just put out that new Contra game as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, this looks really cool. It's probably going to cost like £2 or £3, and I'm going to play it. Then we have. Oh, here's the store page. It's coming out on the 9th of May. Metal Gear. No, that's not Metal Gear.
Well,
it's Contra.
The two-legged bag. I just go Metal Gear.
Undermine 2 is coming out. It is a action roguelite. I think it has co-op as well. It looked like it had like a co-op based on the trailer. Let me double check. Undermine 2. Yeah, it's got shared split screen co-op. But it gave me like real Spelunky vibes, this one. I get a lot of Boss Baby vibes from this one. Yeah, it looks really fun. It's like sort of like fighting and mining and grabbing gear as you go deeper. Looks really, really fun. I haven't played the original Undermine, so I don't know how good the original was, but this one looks really cool. What the Car got an announcement that it's it now has a free demo out before the game's release. I thought me and you could check it out for a spotlight. I thought that would be quite fun to check out.
I want to see What the Car.
What the Golf was one of my fucking favorite games, so I got to check out What the Car, considering it was a Apple Arcade exclusive coming to PC.
Roundabout 2?
Yeah, well, you saw the limousine, didn't you? So,
Yeah.
and next up we had Cat Quest 3 got an official announcement, official release announcement. It's going to be coming out on the 8th of August 2024. And I think this game looks really gorgeous based on the gameplay stuff we've seen so far. It looks really stylized, and I think they have like improved on the art style of the original games. I think they've kept true to it but added more detail to it, sort of thing. I think it looks really, really good. I mean, there was no like boat combat stuff in the original game. I haven't played the second one, but this all seems like pretty new stuff. Then there was Wizard of Legend 2, which we have had announced for the longest time, but I don't think we've really had any gameplay for it yet. And yeah, I'm still not sure about that because the first game had some beautifully drawn like pixel art, and I was a big, I was a big fan of the cactus build in Wizard of Legend 1, the roguelite wizard game. I didn't see any cactuses in the trailer, so I was a bit disappointed. Hopefully there is a cactus build in Wizard of Legend 2. But I think it is interesting to look at it as it is more of a co-op game. This one is 4-player now, and it's also 3D, so we're going to have to see how that translates over. And then we have... this is like the big announcement at the end was... Dead Cells, some of the original developers, Dead Cells, Evil Empire is developing their own version of Prince of Persia, which is very confusing based on the fact that the latest Prince of Persia game is a Metroidvania game, and then the developers of one of the biggest indie Metroidvania games is developing a Metroidvania Prince of Persia game. It feels like the timing is a bit like close to put these games like so close together, sort of thing. But I'm excited nevertheless. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah. We're checking out.
Yeah, I think it goes into gameplay at the end. I'm not 100% sold on the art style of this game, but I do think it looks very fluid in terms of how it plays. So it could win me over there, right? I'm excited to give it a try. Hopefully, I mean, it's being published by Ubisoft. Hopefully they release this game on Steam. As I wanted to play the new Prince of Persia game, and it was like, you have to get it on Uplay or Epic. And I'm like, I'll see you in a year.
Yeah.
But yes, it's coming to Steam Early Access in May, so it's incredibly close to the other Prince of Persia Metroidvania game. Obviously, that one wasn't roguelite, I guess, is their rationale, maybe. So their hope is that that wouldn't clash, but I think it's going to be on Steam. Let's check. The Rogue Prince of Persia, Steam. Oh yeah, it's coming to Steam, so people will actually be able to, because it's coming to early access, right? So yeah, this one will be a Steam Day 1, which is cool to see. And then I listed some games I thought were Tony games, as I watched them and said, that's a Tony game. So we had the announcement of the Castlevania V Rising stuff, but we had no gameplay. We now have official gameplay of the V Rising DLC for Castlevania, as you are playing as...
So this is a lot of...
Are you Dracula here?
I believe the dress is Dracula,
Who's is this Alucard?
Yeah, Alucard is right.
Alucard?
Yeah. Alucard Dracula backwards.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It's yeah.
What is a man but a miserable pile of lies? One of those great mistranslated lines from Castlevania.
Yeah. I think the actual classical looks really cool, but yeah, massive fan of the aesthetic of.
I love that. Like, I think his name's Simon, the guy with like the giant star from Castlevania, is like the bad guy now because you are the. I like that they flipped him on his head.
Yeah, because you're playing as the bad. Yeah.
Is his name Simon Belmont? Is that his name?
Sounds right.
But he's like, he's the big bad evil dude, because it's like, well, if you're fucking Alucard, then yeah, Simon Belmont would be the evil guy. Which I love that flipping of, because I've played quite a bit of V Rising, and I like the game, but I think it'll be interesting to maybe jump back into it with this DLC. So looks cool. And then I saw this next game and I said, I'm not interested in this, but this is the most Tony game I've ever seen in a trailer. And I was like, it's a beautiful city builder on the side of a mountain with realistic weather that affects your city. And I was like, this is a Tony game. For sure.
I've seen this mentioned before.
Right.
I don't think this same page has been up before or not, but yeah, it's like seeing it. It's like, yeah, it looks really cool.
Seeing is believing.
There's not enough building stuff on the side of mountains, you know. A lot of it is just like, yeah, but do it in the plains, in the flat valleys. Like, no, up a mountain.
Yeah, I love how everything has to be like on an edge, and you have like these. It's like almost like, you know, like in Sim City where you would have like hurricanes or like volcanoes going off.
Disasters.
Like obviously you could just have like a giant avalanche wipe out half your city if you're on the side of a mountain, right?
I just think the look of the mountains, like the outside of the mountains, look really nice. Like it looks so good.
Like I really appreciate games that have good weather effects. Like I think Red Dead 2 is one of my favorite games that just does weather so fucking well. Like the way the world and your character reacts to weather is so good in that game. And I think this game looks really, really good for that. I think it really adds to the aesthetic of the game. But yeah, I think this game's out now, isn't it? Or it's about to be out.
I think it's out in early access.
It's out in early access.
You can buy in early access.
I didn't want to put it on the releases because I knew we were going to be talking about it later. But we can have a quick look at the store page.
It's part of the damn good city builder, the Timberborn and the Wandering Village, another two good city building games.
I think it's great, beautiful, charming. The music is fire. Oh, and it's fun. It took about 20-30 hours and a few failed runs on Veteran on the same map to realize that why negative reviews are saying that you're locked into an ideal city configuration based on the map is a skill issue. The mountain tier system and villager type needs on each given map definitely pull city design in certain directions, but there are no hard and fast rules aside from placing mines at predetermined resource deposits. Considering the need for different citizen types and how to arrange or even mix districts, while considering the labor cost in artisans versus yaks for moving goods to and from distinct captivating and offering a ton of room for iteration and improvement. 2 hours of play is not enough to explore and consider the possibilities that this system offered, so I'd encourage interesting parties to ignore any reviewer who refunded the game. What are you going to say? I think people are saying it's quite like Anno in a lot of respects in the reviews.
Yeah, it sounds like Anno with the different tiers of people, but some of the district stuff sounds interesting as well. That sounds more maybe, I don't know, more like a management game.
Yeah.
I have to see how that goes. I don't quite know the ins and outs of this yet, but yeah, that's
question
very
is
interesting.
Is it on Tony's wish list? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I've already added it.
It's on the Tony wish list. And it's also part of the Earth Appreciation Festival, which I'm now hearing about.
It's like I don't know if you've heard of Manor Lords. That's also like on my radar. Like, I want to see how that.
I know about it because I think it's on Game Pass, but I am not interested in it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's understandable.
Tony, if you had Game Pass, you could play some of these games.
Yeah, I don't need to. It's fine. I can wait.
But yeah, that is the end of the podcast. You can check us out, and as always, youtube.com at Everything In Between Podcast, twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, at Scorn2000 on Twitter if you want to follow me there for some reason, and shows.cast.com/everything-in-between-podcast if you want to listen to the audio versions of the podcast. And as always, there will be the Apple Podcast and Spotify versions on there. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.